I suck at jiu-jitsu. How do I suck less at jiu-jitsu?
I guess to suck less.
Ladies and gentlemen, the diabolical leader of the Headlock Squad.
I got a new pillow. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, what do you...
You were talking about that guy.
Okay. I was just going with the starting with the math joke with two Asian people in the
there you go.
podcast.
Well, I thought about saying, like, just starting this off. Are we recording right now?
Yeah, we're going.
I just thought about just
Here we
saying,
go.
let's
Here we go.
rename this particular one, not I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu, just call it Two Asians and a Very Caucasian.
Ooh, that's a solid. This is why
do you
you're the
think?
jingle guy.
Yeah. That just came to me.
We're gonna need somebody to write a jingle for that, like an actual musical, song for that. I'm glad we started there. I had a different place to start.
Okay.
I thought with Mark being on the podcast first time in person, a good place to start would be to just mention that he's not my dad.
Oh.
This is also very true.
And it's
I
this.
get that all the time.
It's a weird thing in the
steak
TAC
before that,
team
all the
group.
time.
It's like these guys are both Asian. They're both black belts. They're both good competitors. Must be his dad.
I mean, that's
Makes
logical.
a lot of sense.
I know. Okay, so
Makes a lot of sense.
this is why we actually brought you on, Kyle.
Okay.
Is as a white guy, we know that we all look pretty similar to you.
True.
But you can't tell me. I mean, I'll give you. He probably looks more like my dad than Steve McKinney. But you can't tell me that this dude is my dad.
No, not at all. I mean,
Kyle really wants to say rice is rice. It's okay.
no. You both look like young studs. There's no way one could be the other one's dad.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. We could be if they said, "Hey, you're brothers."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can believe it.
Okay, so this one was brutal. One of your, I think black belts was maybe we can make them remain nameless. Sent me a Photoshop recently.
I already know. There's only two options, and it's probably going to be the shorter one.
Yes, and it was a Photoshop of you, me, and Johnny. And it was Johnny Tsunami, and I was the son, and you were the dad, and Johnny was grandpa. And honestly, it was very offensive how well it fit. It really like it was. I haven't mentioned it to anybody because I wasn't like, "Hey, this is hilarious. Check this out."
I'll be honest with you.
was like,
it's probably on my phone somewhere.
Yeah.
I can find it.
I didn't.
And by offensive, you mean like convincing?
Yes, like
okay,
it was.
okay.
Yes, it was. It hurt my
Very much
feelings.
so.
One time Robert Arias told me I look like when I had long hair. He said I looked like if Johnny Tsunami and Johnny Tran had a baby. And I'm like, man, that was really clever. Okay, you win tonight. I just went home. Like, you can teach class, bro. All right. After Colin Farrell famously once said, "It's not that I'm stupid. I just don't think sometimes." Colin, same, bro. Same. So if you are slightly jiu-jitsu stupid like Colin and myself, then you need Jiu-Jitsu for Imbeciles, a course by Rob Bernanke that breaks down jiu-jitsu concepts into the simplest form that even that guy at your gym who still calls jiu-jitsu jits with a Z, even he could understand it. It is sharp, it's smart, it's completely free if you're an I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show listener. So just go to bjjmentalmodels.com/ISuck and download it before you make another dumb mistake in your live rolls. All right, actually, a better place to start. Kyle, what's your best question you got for the crew?
Well, I had a couple questions. I guess we can just do a serious one. But I think well, no, just like you are, one of the, best competitors out there, one of the most consistent competitors out there. So definitely want to pick your brain on areas in your expertise there. And I was talking to Josh about this earlier, and I get students all the time who come up, and I have like, I'm not saying like a boilerplate answer. I'll have variations depending on who it is. But I do get people all the time, especially white belts, who come up and they ask if they should compete or not. Just the general question, do you think I should compete? And I think the reason why sometimes it can be hard to answer is that you and I both know the benefits of competing. but we also both know that competing is not for everyone.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
So I just was curious what your answer is, and I'm talking mainly white belts, because usually once you're kind of like higher belt, you've already kind of decided I'm a competitor, I'm not a competitor,
Correct.
right? So I wanted your opinion on that, and then there's a second part to the question.
Okay, cool. So to answer your question, if someone should compete, the way I tell everybody who comes up to me and asks the exact same question, I tell them like, look, you should, but you don't have to. And the reason why you should, if it's even on your mind, if it's even on your radar, the reason why you should is just to basically prove that your jiu-jitsu works. So everyone does jiu-jitsu for different reasons. Some is more self-defense geared. Some of it's more they just want to get in better shape, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like a lot of it gets steered towards competing, if you will, and I use that in quotes, but it gets steered towards that because you want to actually know if what you're practicing, of what you're learning, what your understanding of jiu-jitsu is, of practical jiu-jitsu, if it actually works. So I always tell everyone, I'm like, it's not a bad idea to compete once a year and not even care about the result. All you're trying to do is try to sit there and apply what you've been drilling, apply what you've been learning out there on the mats in a setting in which, you know, the other person is not your training partner. They really don't care about you. You want to just make that effort to see if what you're doing and what you're working on actually works. That's one thing. For other people too, they're just like, I don't really know if I have a guard, or I don't even know if I can take anyone down. I'm like, well, go compete somewhere. Like over here, we'll let you work a little bit. We'll let you do this. We'll let you do that. But what I tell people is just like, look, especially like, for white belts, work on everything, right? But even for people who, even for white belts or anyone who's just like, look, I've done a couple tournaments and I'm a white belt. I've done a couple tournaments. I don't really feel I have a guard. I'm like, okay, cool. Go do the tournament, pull guard. Just to see if you actually understand what the heck it is you're doing and stuff like that. Or look at areas of concern and so forth and so on. So that's kind of how I always answer it. If someone's like, hey, should I compete? My answer is, yeah, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You could if you could at least put have your head just wrap around competing on a particular day, like as Josh, have you mentioned on previous pods, like a performance day. I've mentioned it too to my students as well. Like, come in on a Saturday, come in an open mat, and like for the next 30 minutes, just tell people like, hey, can we go hard like we're competing?
Yeah.
That's it. You don't actually have to go through. You don't have to spend the money or what have you to actually compete. But if you do want to sit there and go with a bunch of individuals that, to really test it, you want to go with a bunch of individuals that you don't normally train with on the regular and see if you can apply what it is that you're learning.
That makes really good sense. That's in that. Yeah, that I like that it's a blanket yes. I feel like for me, it's similar. It has to be this like. I guess the maybe the follow-up question for me is like, do you know anyone who has competed and had such a bad experience that they quit jiu-jitsu entirely? And then how many people do you know? So then like, is it because how many people do you know that have competed? And like a good example, first Bryce was a white belt. He and his brother went to Dallas with us like right when IBJJF tournaments started after COVID, and we did American Nationals. And Bryce cut too much weight. I told him not to. He almost died. But they had such a fun experience that they were like, this is what we want to do. This is, and it's like, so you have so many people that get that experience from competition. Just in your guys' opinion, what is kind of the ratio of people whose experience is so bad that it will actually make them quit?
It does happen. I've seen it, and I've personally kind of experienced it where the competition experience is so bad, it's so nerve-wracking that they quit jiu-jitsu. It's very rare. It's a very rare thing to see that. But more often than not, if anything, if they have a super bad experience, it could actually also demotivate them to compete in general.
Makes sense.
And that's fine. And that does also happen as well too. I always ask that person if it does happen, and it's rare. I would say in 20 years of running a jiu-jitsu school, I would say it's happened maybe half a dozen times. That's about it. One time was really bad. The person just straight up quit. The other times, the other few times, the person just, competing's not for me. And that's 100% a thing. Competing's not for that person. And we find other ways to have that individual try to kind of test their jiu-jitsu knowledge and make sure that they're getting what they want out of jiu-jitsu training. That's, so there's other ways to do that. But yes, it is certainly a thing. It's hard to deal with every single instance that I've ever experienced that. You've had to deal with that individual. Well, you've had to deal with it on an individual basis. You have to kind of make sure that you almost have to ask them, like, well, why do you hate it? Was it why do you want to stop competing? Why do you want to stop jiu-jitsu? Was it just something that, you had a bad experience with the tournament? You had a bad experience with the actual match itself? You had a bad experience outside of the match? I had one person who competed before, and they competed and everything like that, and then they realized that they were, like, the proximity, if you will, the claustrophobic, like, nature of jiu-jitsu, where someone's right on top of you and you can't get them off, kind of awakened some bad things, so to speak. They're just like, I don't want to go there. And, it makes me kind of feel claustrophobic. I don't really want that. That's fine. I'm like, nope, understand. I get it. Not a big deal.
Yeah, I just wanted to know your thoughts on that. That was a great answer. And I have that come up often. And like I said, I have my kind of what I say, but I just was curious your take on that. But I think back to kind of what you were asking about, like people quitting. I have had that happen a couple of times.
And I was more curious with Watson Martial Arts, considering how soft everyone is. I was more curious with the softies at Watson Martial Arts.
Well, I would say that they're similar in that there haven't been that many instances, but they were a long time ago. So now I try to pre-frame it in the sense that when someone does ask me that question, says, "Hey, do you think I should compete?" I always talk about the benefits of it. And say it's not for everybody, but I say the benefits of it and talk about how, it really like teaches you a lot about yourself, kind of fighting inner demons and kind of having that inner dialogue and kind of just testing yourself and your grit. But I pre-frame it in the sense that, hey, look, if you're going there with the sole intention is like your whole focus is a gold medal and first place on that podium so that, you can see all your friends and family like can see it and your teammates and what have you. I think that's not a good reason. I think that if you go there and just want to win and do your best and try to fight as hard as you can to win, but understand that it's more of an evaluation, like a measuring stick. And if it doesn't go right, that you still come back and love jiu-jitsu just as much as you did, because that's the thing that I would hate is like not even if they just don't want to compete anymore, but they come back and like you start to see some of those people where they'll still come back to the gym, but you can start to see their interest starts to wane a little bit because now that they competed, like it wasn't really what they thought it was. And I don't like that. So I try to pre-frame it ahead of time and say, hey, this has happened in the past. If you don't look at it that way, I think you're going to be great.
That's a good way to look at it.
One of the first things I always tell everyone too, like if you are going to compete, like make sure especially at white belt, make sure that number one, you kind of understand that it gets a little kind of crazy there, and that and competing should be fun. It's got to be fun. Like that itself. If you don't have that competitive gene and you just want to test things out and you're going in there to test things out and see if it works and it fails and whatever, that's fine. I've seen some, for lack of better terms, lab rats want to compete all the time just because they keep trying to they get like very fixated on, like, let's just say a berimbolo, and they want to berimbolo everybody, right? Even at white belt, right? And they'll just go in and keep doing it and they don't care if they win or lose. They just want to know that they can do it and set up different opportunities and scenarios. As white belts and stuff, like you want to just make sure it's fun for you. Like if you're competing just because someone told you to compete, but you hate competing, don't do it. It's got to be fun for you. You have to get something out of it. And some people, like Kyle, like you were kind of implying, some people just after they compete, maybe the first time, maybe they have 10 times later, they just feel they're not getting something out of it. At which point, stop. It's okay. It's not a big deal.
That's good. On that note, do you guys, it's just the three of us here, and you don't have to be specific unless you want to be specific. In your mind, do you ever have any instance where you're like, man, one of my students lost and I was actually disappointed in them? I always tell you I'm not disappointed. Like, hey, there's nothing you could do. I'm just proud of you. But have you ever been like, man, I kind of regret saying that? I'm not. I'm not very proud of this person, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, well, I know it sounds terrible, but no, but honestly, I think
I just thought I was the only one.
No, but I also think it's like a thing where I know it sounds terrible to say it out loud, but I think it's also comes down to like more that you know what they're capable of and you know their abilities. And when they deviate from that greatly, like you're more disappointed in that. Not so much they just lost, like, oh, you suck. It's more like I expect more out of you. You're better than that. And you chose poorly.
Where's that's the camera I'm at. That's
Yeah,
on me
that's
right
it.
now. I absolutely have been disappointed in people who have competed.
Have you ever been proud?
I'm an Asian father. I'm not very proud very often. That's all. But I've absolutely been disappointed many times by people who've competed. And it's honestly, like Kyle, like you were alluding to, you know certain people are better than what they kind of put out there sometimes. And, you know, that happens. Everyone has bad days. So that actually doesn't really disappoint me because sometimes you just have a bad day. What disappoints me is when you see someone out there just completely give up. And you give up for all the wrong reasons. Like, they're just like, oh, yeah. You know, they just kind of mope around out there and stuff. If that's the case, man, you should have just walked off the mat.
Yeah.
It's cool. You know, just be like,
I'm not here. See ya.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine. You know, it saves me some time, saves that other person some time and energy, and that's okay. But, like, it happens, right? Like, bad performances happen. If you make mistakes, those happen as well, too. I never get mad at anyone for trying to do something. Like, one of my black belts, when he was going through the ranks up until, I would say, about purple belt, he was the best at pulling defeat from the jaws of victory. Like, he's up and everything like that, and he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna find a way to lose this. Let's do it. And he would just like be murdering everyone. He's just like, here,
Send it.
see it, take it. Oh, good job, buddy. Like, yeah, you know that happens. But like, I'm not actually. For me, I was never disappointed at that. I was like, found another way to lose it. Huh? Awesome.
You know,
Awesome.
follow-up question that I thought of while we were talking. You guys have coached me a lot of matches. Has there ever been a time that you've been disappointed in me? Because, I mean, I'm thinking through different losses and looking at your guys' face, and you guys are always very kind. But I wasn't sure that you weren't a little disappointed. I was disappointed. You know, I can still see visions of your guys' faces. Specifically, Mark, when Murillo Santana violated me one of my first black belt tournaments, and Kyle when Andrew Wiltsey violated me in one of my first black belt matches. And so
I forgot about that one.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I remember.
The whole time I was like, I do not want to be over-undered by Murillo Santana. So I was like, Josh, get out there. Go.
Get him, Josh. Get him.
Go get him.
You're
Go
doing
get him.
great out there,
Yeah.
kid. Keep it up.
What would I do different if I was in there?
I'd get DQ'd. That's what I'd do. I'd just immediately
Do
sit
your
there.
best.
Do good things.
Yeah.
Do good things.
Hey, Josh, I'm proud of you. You're obviously trying as hard as you can. It's not working. But yeah, you guys, you know.
No, I think the answer is no. I mean, there's definitely times where like I'm like, oh man, you know, just it didn't shake. Well, there's been times where I felt you were gonna either stay on top or pull, like one or the other, and you did the opposite, and I was kind of surprised, and then kind of felt like it.
And then it didn't work out.
Yeah,
for
and then it worked out. I think there was that where I was like, kind of like, oh, why did you do that?
Yeah.
But you know, in the moment, you know, it's just it is what it is.
You know who can pre-game plan for me better than anybody in the whole universe? Is Kyle Watson. He will literally, I'll text him, hey, this is my division. And he'll be like, oh, he'll look up people and have, this is how I think you should play him. And my game's weird too, because I will play top, bottom, or wrestle, right? And so it's like, you can go either way. And just like he said, there are times where I'm like, oh, I'm going to pull guard on this guy. And it was a stupid idea to pull guard on the guy. And so like we were just when we were in Indy this year, I think it was my third match. I had wrestled my first two, and third guy was probably going to pull guard. And I was like, Kyle, I think I'm going to pull guard first. It was the final. Like, I think I'm going to pull guard first. And he goes, why? And I go, you know, I don't think he would see it coming. And he goes, but what you're doing is working. So you do what you want, but why don't you just keep doing what is working? And I go, okay. And I did it and it worked. And I was like thinking later, I was like, you know what? That was like an anxiety game plan that was like, oh, I'll just pull guard on this guy. Like do something different. I should change up, right? Yeah. And you just read that really, it felt like really easily. And like, no. I was coming here to tell you to keep doing exactly what you're doing. And I was going to go back there, you know?
Yeah, but my thing is like, there's never really any of that like, quote unquote disappointment. It's just because I know you have really good instincts. You're a very good competitor. So if you saw the guy too, and you saw something a little bit different than I did, and you thought like, you know, hey, I think I can play it this way. I trust your instincts. I think they're great. And obviously, I think had you made the other decision, I still think you would have beat that guy. But that being said, it's just I think we get in our heads. You know how many times I've asked you, you know, like, oh, you think I should do this right before I go? And you're like, God, just do what you do every single time. Yeah. And the thing is, even if you said to do something different, I would probably still do the same thing anyway too.
Yes.
So it's the same idea. You know?
And I would almost say, to at least from my perspective, it might be for both of us. Sometimes when you're out there or you're getting ready to be out there, like for me, maybe I'm not as confident in myself as you are in me. And so I'll have a certain position where I'm like, man, maybe I can't take this guy down, or maybe this guy's wrestling is going to be better than the other guys. And you'll have the confidence of like, nah, you're going to take this guy down. Why would we change? And that, because I know that's from my perspective when it's you and you're like, I think I'm going to set this up and do this. I'm like, hey, Kyle, why don't we just do that one move that always works? Because it always works, right? Like, let's just do that. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to do it.
Well, you're right. I think it's sometimes just hearing that reassurance, because it's easy in your own head to like second guess and be like, you almost like do that thing where it's like, I know that he knows that I know that he knows. And you do that like kind of like, you know, try to reverse
How would I
engineer
beat me?
Yeah, exactly. You start thinking about it, and then it's like, and then it's kind of like you just need someone else to say, no, fuck it. Just do what you're good at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Oh, no, I completely agree. It's just like, well, first off, every time, you've never disappointed me when you've competed, Josh.
All right.
That's
all
not what he
right.
said before the podcast.
Dang it.
Just saying.
Yes, it's not what your facial expressions have said.
No, yeah, I have, well, anyone who's ever seen me at a tournament knows that I have perpetual rusty bitch face at a tournament. So.
I will say I got a big hug Chicago Open after I won with Jared. Jared gives me a big hug, and I walked back, and this was the open class. I walked back, and you were waiting for your open class. And I walked back to the bullpen, and we looked at each other, and you nodded. And I was like, man, Mark's proud of me. And I just kept walking.
That's all you're going to get. That's all you're going to get.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. That's all you're going to get. But, like, you know, sometimes you, like, for a lot, at least in my experience, for some of the competitors, I don't really want to say too much before a match to them or anything. I just be like, look, this is how, like, just understand, watch out for this. And I'm going to pretty much anti-coach. Like, my coaching style predominantly is anti-coaching. I try to sit there and kind of basically coach the other guy, if you will, or like kind of call out things that person might be thinking of doing and stuff. And just, but I try not to change someone's game that I know of and stuff as much as humanly possible. Like if I have to do that, something kind of went wrong. Or like something kind of had to go wrong.
If you got to tell a guy who doesn't play closed, like, hey, bro, you're going to have to hold closed guard for 6 minutes.
Something went wrong. That person is gassing out a little bit more than they should, or what have you. You know, something happened. And, you know, if I have to do it, it happens and stuff. But for the most part, I'm like, no. Someone actually just texted me last night. What are the 3 things I need to work on? And the first thing I said is, like, first and foremost, you're good at jiu-jitsu. You need to believe you're good at jiu-jitsu. You have a well-rounded game. You know, I don't care if you know 100 moves and stuff, but you have at least like 2 to 3 go-to things from every single position that you want to be in or even may not want to be in. So you're fine. You know jiu-jitsu. Just be confident in it. You don't need to look at me as the match is going on and be like, hey, what should I do from here? Like, no. You don't need me for that. Just keep going. Go to one of those 1 to 2, 3 things that you, or whatever, 1 to 3 things that you'd like to do and just try to get to that position. And then from there, take a breath, and you're fine. That's it.
Well, I also think too, and I'm sure we all experience this at different stages, but I've noticed how much different it is to coach the different levels in the sense that, like, it's pretty easy to go white and blue belt and even some purple belts you're watching, you know exactly what to yell at them at the exact right time. But then when you're coaching, you know, black belts, especially somebody has a sophisticated guard that Josh does, it's like there's so many things that are adjusting really quickly in real time that, like, a lot of times whatever I was just about to say, it doesn't make sense because they're already in a slightly different position, and he's also fighting sophisticated black belts. So it's like sometimes I find that difficult as a coach. Is that I'm still going to always yell my input and try to get through what I want to get through, but a lot of times I think it's difficult because in the moment, that's where I have to trust his instincts because he's feeling, oh, hey, this is changing in real time, and maybe Kyle yelled something good, but it isn't the right answer at that time. You know what I mean? So I think that's challenging.
Well, that actually kind of reminds me of something like my older brother told me. So my older brother also a black belt as well too. So he's your uncle. But so your uncle Mike.
Oh, Uncle Mike.
Uncle Mike. Yes,
I love Uncle Mike.
So my older brother told me something about competing way back in the day. I think this was 2004 Pans. And he had just won Pans as a brown belt. And I remember we were just having dinner, and actually it was the night before. And we were having dinner, and he just told me, competing in jiu-jitsu is real simple. It's just like as a competitor, you want to know if what was the exact question? I think the exact question was, you want to know what a difference between a good and great competitor is. A good competitor listens to their coaches, period. A great competitor can hear what their coach is saying, but understands that they're there. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who are actually in the moment. They can feel things out, and they can hear what their coach is saying, and based on that, they can go ahead, because they already know jiu-jitsu and know how to compete. Based on that, can just kind of assess the situation and then execute what it is that they have to do. Mm-hmm. So that's what he told me.
Well, I think that's where the instincts come in, and also the trust factor. It's like I'm never going to yell something I think is a bad idea, or what I think I'm going to try to yell what I think is best in the moment, but I also trust that he knows whether that was right or wrong.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's I think what's cool for all of us, we've all coached each other a lot, which is it shows that it's a role, right? It's not like okay, this guy always has to be my coach. Some of my favorite people to coach are some of my favorite people to have coach me, And I think about when you were telling that story, Mark, I think about, I don't know what tournament it was. It might have been 2-3 years ago now at this point. You don't know this side of it, but I just left the venue, and it was I didn't have to be back for 2 hours, which was just golden. I'd been at the venue all day, and I was 5 minutes from my hotel. I get into my hotel room, and I get a text message from you that said Matt 2 in 20 minutes, and I go,
me?
No, from Mark, from Mark, and I go, I'll be there, and so I go there, and as he's walking out, I'm like, oh my gosh, is this who he has? And it was the giant, super jacked judo guy that you had in open class. Do you know what I'm talking about? The match was, because I didn't get to talk to you before. Normally we would have talked. Right, you would have said, this is what I planned, and I would have understood the game. But you kind of played a ton of lasso on him, but didn't ever advance your lasso until there was a point that you advanced it to half guard. Okay, yes. I was I felt like Tennessee,
Right, this was Memphis. I actually was just watching that match on the flight over here.
Oh, really? Okay,
on my phone. I literally, yeah.
And that was the match was, I didn't understand in the situation. I'm like, can Mark not sweep this guy? And then I would see when he would off balance the guy, how strong the hip heist was, and I was like, oh, Mark has one sweep that he thinks is going to work on this guy. And I could read it because I had coached you enough times. Right. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm just going to shut up right now, because I've been try this, and I'm like, he's not trying. And normally if I'm suggesting something and he needs it, he'll take it. And I'm like, I think he's just telling me to shut up. And I was like, I'm just gonna wait on this one. And you ended up going into that half guard and wrestling up
with about 30 seconds.
Yeah, my mind was 10 seconds, but 30. Let's call it 30 seconds. But got your points and won the match, and that was just a really excellent thing. But it was also one of those cases of, I feel like a lot of times you're in matches, I'm yelling stuff, and I'm like, oh, Mark's obviously hearing me. He's doing these things, or not doing, but he's responding. And I could just tell you weren't responding, and it was like I'd seen enough. I was like, oh, let's just let him compete.
But it's that lends me to this as well. That leads me to rather coaching is a really difficult skill. It really, especially in the moment, coaching on the mat when you're back at the academy or the back at the gym. That's significantly easier
Yeah.
because you can break things down, you can pause everything, and so forth and so on. But coaching during a match, in the middle of a match, is extremely difficult. And like, admittedly, I have my problems with it as well too. I think every coach does. Every good coach does. And sometimes it's just a matter of like a psychological connection, for lack of better terms. There's certain people, some of my really like good friends back at the gym, back in Chicago, I refuse to coach them. I flat out tell them, like, I refuse to coach you. Like, we just do not jive. Like, we do not jive. Like, in a stressful situation, we just cannot connect. And what I do know is that you drive more with, let's just say, Kyle. So Kyle, and like with my other coaches at the Chicago Open, I'll be like, okay, these are the people that they're competing. We're gonna divvy it up this way. Like I can coach these individuals. I can coach this. Like, I vibe with this person. It's a super difficult thing, and as Kyle, you've been doing this a while as well too. But like it's we're both you and I are probably set in our ways of coaching and teaching, for lack of better terms. Still trying to reinvent ourselves. But at the same time, once there's stress added onto it in a competition format, it's extremely difficult to kind of say the right things sometimes.
Yes.
Which is more often than not, I try to default to, okay, just watch out for this person. This person is just trying to set up a knee cut. That's all they're trying to do.
Say less.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Say less, yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say less to you, and I'm going to talk more about what I see your opponent trying to set up.
Because then it gives me the chance to stop it versus you saying, Josh, go for your triangle. And then my opponent goes, oh, I'll try to stop that. Good call. You know?
I will say this. There was this one time when the Chicago Open was still, was it 2012? 2012 Chicago Open. 2011 Chicago Open. I'm sorry. It was like a winter one. And I remember there was no one left in the stands. It was the open weight. I was one of the last matches, and somebody was yelling from the stands, "Hey, Mark, just go for your crucifix there. Just go for this. Just go for that." And the whole time, I literally looked to the side. I was like, "Shut."
Yeah, you're narrating what I'm doing. Yeah.
I was like, I need you to shut up right now. But it's funny though, because I try not to tell people exactly what to go for. Instead, I try to tell them like other dumb things and stuff. I'm like, I'll be like yelling knee cut the whole time, and they're playing guard. So I have like basically warned my competitors. I'm like, look, about 80% of the stuff I'm going to say is complete bullshit. But you just need to really be like, once I coach you enough times and stuff, you'll be able to pick out the 20%.
And it really is, it's a relationship too. It's like a certain people, even though they coach you different ways, it's like you just have that connection, and you're like, oh, this person is, before Indy, when was the last time you think you coached me in a competition?
It had been a while, because I think you had competed a lot, and there were just ones I couldn't make it to or wasn't. Yeah, it had been a while.
And it didn't feel any different to me than it has since I was 14. It was just like the same. Like, this is and I was even curious because, if anything, in that period, my game probably has changed more than it ever has, and still, it was at least in my mind, it has changed more. But it's still for sure. It still felt like we were just it was pretty normal. Datsusara makes gear for grapplers who hate crappy gear. My fanny pack, my backpack, even the gi that I wore today, all Datsusara. The gi feels ridiculously comfortable to wear, but what's interesting is it actually is a little bit hard for your opponent to grip. I've actually made all of my students who wear my size gi try it on, and nobody can believe the comfort. We all agree, most comfortable gi we've ever put on. And so now keep in mind, all of these products I've discussed are made from hemp. So that means that they'll last a very long time. They're eco-friendly, so that's good for you ecological approach CLA guys. And they just don't trap that classic gym funk. So if you're interested, go to dsgear.com and use promo code ISUCK, and you can get 10% off anything in the store. You can upgrade your gear to something that not only that you'll like, but that you'll actually look forward to wearing. Check them out. that's always so interesting. Are there people that you guys think of, especially not in this room, where you're like, man, these are people that coach me? And is there anything specific, either a specific story or a specific thing that they do that you prefer as a competitor?
You want to take that one?
I mean, for me, honestly, I think this is almost like a negative on myself, is that I feel like in the moment I'm stubborn and I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway. And so for me, I really need to, some people's voices I just hear so much better. Like I hear Sanders really well.
Yes.
Even though he hasn't coached me, but I noticed that like just hearing him when we're both coaching is Mario. It's like you hear Mario really well. But there's some voices that just like really, really come through. And so like I usually telling anybody that I know that I hear better than someone else, I was like, tell me what the time is, how much time is left, because you know I'm going to be stalling. You know, like I want to know the time, and then obviously, I mean, I usually am pretty good at looking at the scoreboard, but I also like to still know, hey, because sometimes you miss it if you're down by an advantage, you don't see it sometimes.
Yes.
Now you think in your head, you're so involved in that moment, you're like, oh, I'm winning,
and you're like, how did he score?
Yeah,
what did that?
No. Yeah, so I always just want to hear that, and then I also too, I do feel like one thing that we're the inverse on that I feel like you're better at than I am is that like I try to like slow everything down to a crawl, and when there's like only a little bit of time left, I almost try to slow it down even more. I feel like you like when you know, okay, this has got to happen. There's only 30 seconds left. You can just turn that dial up, and it's like you're making it happen. So it's like I need to hear time points, but I also do sometimes it really helps me to hear Kyle. You have to do this right now.
Right now. The urgency, yeah.
Because like a lot of times on my own, I don't have the urgency. I'm so wrapped up in like, I just want to shut this guy down so he can't even budge. And then I stop moving, and I need to hear someone say, you got to move.
And you hear it 3 times, and you go, oh my gosh, coach is really upset about what is he? I got to move now. I'm up an advantage, coach. You're like, oh, I'm losing? I'm losing by 6 points? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a huge thing, is getting to hear your coach that just clearly. That's like my dad, probably one of my favorite coaches, but his voice doesn't carry very well, especially as he's gotten older. And the bigger the tournament you're in, generally the further away you are as the coach, my voice is gone by like an hour into most of these tournaments. Absolutely. And so, yeah, you almost have to even save your voice for it to carry over that much.
For me, I think the 2 names that come to mind, there are 3 names rather that come to mind right away. John Gutta. When John Gutta coaches me,
he's a good coach.
He's a good coach. And the thing is, like, he and I just, we barely say anything to each other before the match. He's coached me on so many runs, and many times it's just we just give each other a look. He automatically kind of knows what type of physical state I'm in, and also kind of like just we already know what the game plan is and stuff. And what he does is that his voice is it just keeps me to task. I think John is as a coaching resource is one of the best, if not the best that I've ever encountered. Shannon's another one too. So whereas they're the complete inverse of each other. Shannon White out in Canton, or let's go with Canton. I can't remember. Fairlawn, Fairlawn, Ohio. So. Whereas John kind of keeps me like calm, if you will, and on task, and in a very consistent like workhorse mind frame. Shannon, on the other hand, is the fire and brimstone. Just like when I hear Shannon's voice, it's just like Mark, you got to do this. And I go, whoa, oh, I messed up somewhere. And when I can hear it in his voice, that little just change in his voice, that little inflection, just that I just pick up on. It's just like, okay, we gotta go. Like Josh, you're literally right in the middle in between Shannon and John, 100%. So like whenever you're there, whether you've never actually been there with the both of them, it's pretty funny.
I've only ever been there with John. It's funny because what you're saying that I'm like, have I coached with Shannon? I was trying to think of that.
I think Cleveland. Was it Cleveland?
I don't think I did Cleveland
or Cincinnati. Cincinnati, that's what it was.
I think I stay out of Ohio since Murillo beat me down.
Oh.
I think I haven't went back.
Yeah.
Whew.
stacked
That was
past-
like 2019.
He stacked past you right out of Ohio.
No, he just kind of fell right through my guard. It was like the 7 minutes of the match that I was in a triangle, just getting like face squeezed. And I was like, I wish I could just have people. People would be okay with me
Understand
tapping.
it, yeah.
You know, and they would be like, oh, I'm surprised you survived that long.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I'll know. I'll know. And then eventually when I was in bottom mount, I was like, should have tapped.
Didn't you say like there was a lot of comments on that video where people were ragging on him for not finishing the triangle?
People were saying, the comments are literally, most YouTube videos that I'm in are like, this guy sucks. The comments of him were like, man, Murillo sucks for not beating this no-name guy easier. This guy, like can't even finish a triangle. He had no defense. Like, come on, guys.
But as I was saying, like you're right in the middle as well too. You kind of do a blend of both of them. And then the third voice that really comes up to mind is honestly my daughter, Mikey. When she coaches me, we're literally in tune with everything, and I think she first off, if you've ever heard Mikey coach at a tournament, it's like a banshee.
Yeah, her voice. I was honestly thinking like
very
there are
distinct.
times that I'll say something and she'll repeat it. I'm like, oh, he heard it now.
Oh,
he heard it. He knows now.
You could absolutely pick it up, and it's like, and she's like me. She likes to anti-coach. She likes to anti-coach, and one of the other things I'll never forget this. This was the Pans of 2023. I was down there, like I think that's the one where you had to sit there and you were driving from Vegas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah, I know it was a horrible experience for you. I was in the finals, and I remember Carlson Gracie Jr. was there, and I was fighting one of his competitors who had beaten me by a ref's decision 6 weeks earlier in Atlanta. And so I just go to Mikey and one of my purple belts, Emin. I was just like, all right, here's a job for you guys. Emin, your job is real simple. Time. Just give me the time, give me the points. Every 30 seconds. That's all I need. Mikey, your job's really simple. All I need you to do is yell every single time anyone says anything in Portuguese. I don't care what you
That's
say.
really good. That's really
I don't
good.
care what you say.
I like that a lot.
Just say something.
Is that racist? Is that racist? Can you do that?
That's literally what I told Mikey. Mikey's like,
Drown that out.
that's it. And she
Drown
just,
it
But Dad, what if it's Spanish?
if you I was like, put it this way, if it's in any language you don't understand, just yell. And if you watch that match on Flow, if you bring that match up, you will absolutely sit there and see that it is just nonstop Mikey yelling. It's pretty fun. It's pretty ridiculous. So.
That's funny. She just could be telling jokes or yelling jokes.
Oh yeah, I was just like making noise. That's all I care. That's all I want to do. I've actually given those exact same instructions to John before.
That's pretty
at
funny.
World Masters. I think that was 2019. Yeah, 2019 World Masters. I was against one of my. This guy, I've competed with Laurence Marion so many times, but it was like up until then I was just like, look, I lost the last one against Laurence, and how about this time you just yell. He's like, John just looked at me. He's like, I got one more match like that. That's fine. Let's go.
That makes sense.
And yeah, he lost his voice afterwards. It was done. It was completely done.
In also, this is, we had mentioned Sanders. Sanders is one of my favorite people to coach. Same reason, because he cuts through. But I actually really love to have Junior as a coach because I'm one of the only people that understands him. Because he's speaking English, but no one else knows, right? And so, my opponent has no idea what's being said to me. Like, I don't know is this Jamaican that they're speaking? I don't know. And then it's like he will see things that I typically don't, right? And that's just like always my big takeaway and maybe one or two things in a match, especially when we coach together. But when he coaches me, like, he'll say something like, his ankle's broken, try to attack it, right? And you're like, how do you know that? What do you mean? Okay, I'll try to attack it, and then it will be broken. Like, oh man, this dude's a wild. How did he know that? But it's just, he's very, very good at observing stuff. And so like, hey, this guy, his grips are scorched. He was, they were on the feet, they were wrestling the whole time. And then he'll have a little game plan off it. He'll be like, you should go and just attack really quick because he's not going to want to grip. And I'm like, why is he not going to want to grip? He's like, his grips are tired. I just told you. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just go attack. And he's really good at just those seeing little things in matches and then pointing them out. And you're like, oh, that's going to be a really big thing. Yeah. And he also does that a lot with like his own competitors. It's just a simple, I mean, he only ever yells, do the crazy dog pass. Yeah. John Wayne sweep, you know, that's the game plan. Right. And he, but it's like a simplified, it's like, this is when you do it 10 times during this moment in the match, but then you don't need to do it for the next 2 minutes. You're fine. Just stay where you're at. I'm like, dude, we were just freaking out in like, you're not moving enough. You're not working hard enough. And now where is this rhythm coming from? And a lot of times it's not explainable to him. It's just that he's done jiu-jitsu for a long time. And he's like, well, this is how I would cheat to win. Yeah. So this is how you cheat to win, you know?
I agree.
Yeah, that's somebody that always is really helpful in those things for me.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this about coaching. What's your take on coaches that their coaching style, or like maybe during the match, right? So let's just say I was coaching you, Josh, and Kyle is coaching Bryce. And Kyle just starts basically talking smack about you. Like essentially not like true smack, but something effective like, Bryce, look at Josh right now. He's just like, he's tired. He's done.
Trying to trash talk. I mean,
it's like, kind of talking trash, if you will. For me personally, I don't think it's talking trash. For me, I am trying to, for lack of a better term, psychologically attack the other person, like the other competitor. I don't mean anything by it. It's just a competition. It's just us messing around.
Personally, I love talking trash. I love talking trash to the competitors. There are some people at Watson Martial Arts that don't know that I'm like always messing with them, and they really hate me. You know, I like be around them until like he would start coming to my open match. Champ hated me for sure. Yeah. Because one time he was just obliterating one of my guys. He was up 100-0, and he's in mount, and I mean we're gonna lose the match. Yeah. He's 6 inches from me. We're at an AGF, so I'm like sitting right there, and I go, don't worry, he's a Watson Martial Arts guy. He's just going to stall. And he had been trying hard to finish, too. And he looked up like both hurt and angry. And I was like, oh, he doesn't know I'm messing with him? I'm not going to tell him. Yeah. Like, he'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah. That's great.
For me, I even I actually troll my competitors, my students harder. I'll be like this. I'm like, all right, like, let's just say I was coaching you, Josh. I was like, Josh, all I need you to do right now is take your right hand and pin his left leg down. That's all I need you to do. And you do something different. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I don't really care. That's fine. If you want to do that, you can do that too. That's fine. Doesn't matter that I, been doing this for a little bit. Doesn't matter that I've been training jiu-jitsu for 28 years and competing for almost 20. Whatever. That's fine. Go for it, dude. Don't worry about it.
You never verbalized it in a match, but you've looked at me that way too. You've given me that nod too.
That's right. Like, yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, just do that if you want to lose. That's cool.
Oh yeah, I've even but the thing is that honestly, I have a lot of fun coaching. I actually crack a ton of jokes.
Oh yeah,
like the whole time.
Yeah,
I've had people come up to me. The last Chicago Open, that was in April. I remember coaching this one blue belt. He's Masters 5. So collecting Social Security. First, this guy honestly, he's got like 2-3 million subscribers on YouTube. I don't know. I don't even.
Dude,
know what he
I
does.
gotta meet this guy. What's he
I don't
do?
even know what he does. Like I have no.
Hopefully, it's not like a Nazi YouTube channel or something. But we
did
gotta get this guy on the podcast.
I legit only knew like 2 weeks before the Open and stuff. But anyways, I remember coaching him, and the whole time, it's just trying to kind of bleed time and trying to drown out the other coach and everything else. And he is on top of half guard, and the other person's trying to go to deep half, but kind of, he's a little tired. And I remember it was the finals, and he's like reaching underneath in between the legs, trying to kind of just use his upper body to throw him over, and his hand's sticking out. He's just like not making a fist. And the whole time I'm like, hey, see his hand? Next time he does it, break it. I was just break it, just wrist lock, break it, just go ahead. Like, and I don't mean it obviously, but the whole time.
But if it did break.
Should have tapped.
Then you technically did mean it.
Should have tapped.
Like it did.
Tapped.
That's true.
You should have tapped.
But it could be literal.
Could be. It's all how you frame it. That's all. But it was funny because I had maybe about 4 to 6 other people around us, not even affiliated with that match, just laughing. And they came up to me like, "Did you seriously say that?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's not gonna do it. He's fine. Don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry about it. We're good."
I don't mind the trash talking at all. I think it's funny, but I just hate when, because my voice doesn't carry, I just hate when everybody kind of piles right next to each other and somebody that's like way louder than me is just, every time I try to talk, they just yell over you. Oh, it drives me nuts. 'Cause
Yeah.
I can't hear anything. Plus,
Like what Mark was just saying to do
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
Brazilian
exactly,
guys.
exactly.
That's a great method. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the game, bro.
You got to
That's the game.
put Mikey right next to Kyle the whole time.
And it's like you just have to like have people box them out, you know?
Yeah.
Hey,
true.
switch me positions, you know, like it, because we're all doing whatever we can to win. You know, we're trying to help our boy out. And so
It
I don't know.
happens.
Yeah,
It
I
happens.
think you gotta do it.
It's annoying though, but to your point, it is annoying when it's members of your own team.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
I'll tell people to shut up on my team.
so annoying when, because there's like 5 people all yelling different things, or even somewhat similar, but they're all drowning each other out.
I have a story about like a year ago at the Chicago Summer Open. The Chicago Summer Open. I remember where Devin, Grand Slam Dev, he was out there and he just came back from an injury. He literally just had like some sort of groin injury at the time. And he's just recovering from it and everything. And he wanted to compete to help us win the team trophy. And so he goes out there. And I remember him getting into a position where he could execute a dog bar like that over under knee bar, right? And the whole time Jared's just yelling at him, saying like, knee bar, get the knee bar. It's right there. Get the knee bar. Just tip in. I came sprinting from the bullpen and grabbed him. I'm like, he can't do it. Like we have a plan. He just wanted to win to help us score some points. And I was like,
Yeah, I was there for that match.
oh, were you there for that
Yeah.
match? Oh, that was hilarious because it got to a point where Jared's like looked at the other black belt in question that you were referring to earlier, earlier in the pod, and said like, hey, just tell him to finish that knee bar. Tell him it's worth it. It's okay. Tell him it's worth it. And I had to like literally, me and the other black belt you were referring to, I basically locked eyes with him. I'm like, don't you dare make me go over there and like smack you upside the head. I will do that. And I was just yelling, furiously yelling at Devin. I'm just like, just stick to the plan. Just stick to the plan. You're winning. Write it out. Take a couple penalties.
But you're
and
like,
walk away.
you're like the head of the affiliation. He's telling me to knee bar this guy.
Oh, he tried. Devin tried out
do it.
there. Oh, Devin tried.
It hadn't been in an IBJJF in a long time. Jared was fired up, man.
He was fired up.
There was this moment where I am just shoulder pressuring this dude in mount up 6-0. He's done nothing in the match but be in bottom mount. And I am like head down. I'm putting as much pressure on old boy's face as I can. And I'm hearing Jared yell, Josh, like he's trying to get my attention. Josh, look at me. And I look up, I pick my head up, and he goes, finish this guy. And I was like, okay, coach. Honestly, I could just chill here, man. I'm like, we're cool. I'm up 6-0. You don't have to do that.
The general has given you the order.
I'm like, okay, yes, coach. I'll send it. I'll send it. And so, that was. I'm like, oh, this dude's motivated today. I'm like, he wants to see blood. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am happy to do this for you, coach. I'm sorry I didn't do it sooner. I apologize.
How dare you? Oh man. I was thinking I had a second part to my earlier question I was going to ask.
The
you.
first question that we're still
Yeah,
on.
very-
Yeah,
we're
this is the
still
first
actually on
question.
the
that we're
first
still on.
question.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, but I just thought I'd bring it back around. So let's say that the person has established that they do want to compete. What is your typical answer when they ask, how do I know if I'm ready? Because you'll get that a lot where people will say, like, I want to compete, but, and not as much like, what do you need to do? It's like, what's going to make them feel like they say, how will I know when I'm ready? What do you tell them that will give them the confidence to feel that they're ready?
So all I ever tell them is this. You're ready to, first off, if you've never competed before. So if a white belt has never competed before and they say, I want to compete, do you think I'm ready to compete? No white belt is ever ready to compete. Yeah. Like they just aren't.
Yeah.
Like some of them are significantly closer to and everything else. So that being said, I always tell them like, look, all I want you to be able to do, like you'll know when the time is to compete, when you are automatically just, kind of gravitating towards one move or position, if you will. Number one, that becomes your game. Number two, I can put you in any position, and you at least have a really good idea of how to go about escaping, or how to go about like solving the problem, if you will. Excuse me. And what they'll end up doing is that they'll start putting themselves in all these different positions. The bottom mount, bottom of side control. Let people kind of put them in the worst possible positions, and I always like they'll start kind of, you can see it that they're actually trying to like, do I know where to go from here? And once they start doing it, and you don't even have to be successful, you just kind of have to head towards that direction. I'm like, perfect. You could compete if you want to. You can see it. And I always tell them like, no, as long as you feel that you know where to go to from a single position or any particular bad position, if you will, why not? Give it a try. That's fine. Because I always tell them like, no white belt is ever really truly ready to compete. It's just not a thing. And no matter what you say to yourself, because you don't really know what the other person's going to do. This other person, for all intents and purposes, has bad intentions to try to hurt you. I mean, that's what that waiver is for. The waiver is basically, you're just signing off that other people can hurt you. That's what it is. You're relieving responsibility of that other person. You're relieving liability, if you will. But so no one really can mimic a non-training partner trying to murder you, pretty much. So there's that. And then the other thing too is that, yes, you're great in the room, but you've never had the stress of a crowd. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, right? From a different sport. But you've never had the stress of a crowd yelling at you and having this person trying to essentially commit murder to you and stuff, and having that person's son or cousin or whatever, and having like maybe 12 other random strangers you don't know also yelling for this person to mess you up. No one's ever ready for that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of like, you just got to go out there and be like, look, can you at least start heading towards a position and stay within yourself, if you will. That's the start for me. That's when I sit there and tell someone who wants to compete, who has that inkling or that itch, if you will, but hasn't never done it. That's what I usually tell them. I'm like, look, if you can at least start working your way out of bad positions, or at least have one item to do, or on your to-do list from every single position, why not? Go for it. You need the experience. We'll figure out everything else afterwards.
That's good. I think I'm very similar. Is like, technically, because it's different than training in the gym, you can't be ready for it until you've experienced it, right? Like, you can't even know what to truly prepare for. But it does, just like you also said, it gives you this chance to really focus in on your jiu-jitsu and try to get good. And so I'm always like, no, you're not going to be ready. Let's do a 6-week camp before this next tournament that comes up, where you focus on some specifics of what are going to be big in the tournament. Maybe things that might prepare you a little more, some kind of like anchor points that you're probably going to find yourself in at some point in these matches. And let's try to set you up that way for the next 6 weeks, because then when the tournament happens, you get that first experience. Win or lose, you already benefited before you even had the gold medal match, right? And so it ends up being, and then that's how I still look at competing now. So it's this cycle, of always doing that. But it is like, I think when you do that first one, just going in with the attitude that like, it's going to feel like this is the end of the world. Not in a good or a bad way, just in a sense that it's going to be hard for you in the lead up to a tournament to comprehend anything that happens in life after 12 p.m. on Saturday. You know what I mean? It's like that is the only moment in your head. You can't think about anything else. And then you get to go experience it. But if you have the right attitude initially, when it happens, you leave going, oh, I didn't win, but I got so much better in the last 6 weeks at half guard. I need to work my top now. I need to work my passing now. And then you have another 6-week camp or longer, right, where you end up getting to do that. And so for me, it's always like, are you ready? Well, is the intention to win, right? Like, maybe not. Let's just keep you a white belt for like 6 more years. Let's get you on the juice, and then you'll be ready, bro, and you'll win. But that's not our goal. Our goal is that you'll get the experience and benefit from it. You know,
that's a lot. That's honestly what I tell a lot of people who wish or kind of gravitate towards that competition route. For example, like with the kids, like coaching kids competitors rather. For coaching them, what I always tell them, like, look, don't be nervous the first time you compete. Like, we're here to prepare you to win, but don't be surprised if you lose your first match. It's not that big a deal. And I always tell them, like, and they look at me like, how could you say that? And I always tell them, like, look, just trust me on this one. What's your favorite food? And, somebody like, oh, pizza or whatever, Olive Garden, whatever. I'm like, cool. It's real simple. Win or lose, tell your parents to take you to Olive Garden. Period.
Yeah.
And a funny thing is that I've actually had to like walk to these parents. I'm like, no matter what, you're taking this kid to Olive Garden.
Mm-hmm. That works on me too.
Yeah.
It's breadsticks.
Kyle actually in Indy said, Josh, where do you want to eat after this? Right before the final,
funny.
like I'll take you anywhere you want, win or lose.
Funny.
And I was like, oh, okay, coach, I'll just go compete.
Honestly,
I'll just go do my best.
That's personal experience on my part. That was actually from my 18-year-old. She had never competed before. So I was like, Dad, before I turn 10, I'm going to compete. Or before I turn 8, I'm going to compete. And there was a tournament, like 3 weeks out. She's like, I'm going to compete at that tournament. I'm like, when did you decide that? She's like, no, I promised I would compete before I turned 9. So I'm going to compete at this tournament. I'm like, okay. All right. And then she went 0-4. It was a Grappling Industries. And then it was funny. Right before she took the first match, right before she took the mat on her first match, I grabbed her. I'm like, look, I need you to understand something, okay? It's real simple. I need you to understand something. Win or lose, we're going to Olive Garden. All right? Win or lose, we are absolutely going to Olive Garden. Just go do your thing. She's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. It's okay. Not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
And no matter how uncomfortable it gets, we're not going to stop asking for breadsticks.
Ah.
We're going to just I'll look this dude dead in the eye while they're mopping up the floors, turning chairs on top of tables, and say, can we have another thing of breadsticks, please?
Speaking of Olive Garden, have you guys ever gone there and asked for like dipping sauces for the breadsticks?
Yeah.
So before,
Solid.
And you get charged for it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Before they didn't.
Oh, wow.
So they did not.
What a prime time to be alive that would have been.
I haven't been to Olive Garden in a long time.
Yeah, you gotta live your
usually
life.
like, Kyle, we'll go to Brazilian barbecue if you do this.
Yes, he bribes me with Brazilian barbecue too, but there are times that you don't want protein, you want carbs.
Yes.
And that's and fat. And that's when you go to Olive Garden. Recently, I'm going to come clean to you guys about something. I've been pretty disciplined on the diet recently, but like maybe 2 months ago, I was going to take a cheat day. It ended up being a cheat month. Okay. And it started with Olive Garden. My wife and I went to eat lunch Tuesday, date day, great experience. They treat you right at Olive Garden, bro. I got unlimited soup and salad, and breadsticks, of course. I think I ate 3 salads, 3 soups, and I ate 12 breadsticks.
Oh my!
And I didn't feel very good after that. Actually, my stomach actually hurt for at least 24 hours.
Oh man!
Yeah, it was excessive. Yeah, it was one of those like, when they say people that do jiu-jitsu tend to be really obsessive people.
Yeah.
You're like, at a point, this is just being obsessive. You're not hungry.
Yeah.
This isn't about food.
Yeah. You want to prove a point. Like,
there's just something wrong with you. You just don't like this waiter.
You clearly were competing at that Olive Garden.
Yes.
You're just like, I have to take down all this food.
I was just reading this, when you get into a death scroll and you're reading just stupid stuff, and my feed's just full of like dumb jokes and stupid stuff, and it was talking about the best review ever left at Applebee's, because my wife for some reason hates Applebee's, and it was just talking about how their waiter just like was gone, didn't know, and they finally like got their ticket and they left, and the guy was out in his car smoking weed, and like smoke's coming out, and they came up to the car, and he just and the review said he said like 14 times, because they counted, that he said, we don't sell apples or peas. We don't sell apples or peas here. And then they just left. But there's only 1 star. I feel like I'd be entertained by that. I'd leave a little bit higher rating.
I wouldn't be too offended.
We don't sell apples or peas
here,
man.
I would be like, I feel you, man. I get it. You said you have a tough job, bro. Yeah. This is I get that those people yelled at you for not bringing them their ranch in a timely manner. And you just were like, you know what? I'm done with it. Yeah. And then you're mad outside being like, what a stupid name.
Yeah.
You know, what a dumb name. We don't sell apples or bees, bro. Like, I get it. It makes sense. It makes sense. Kyle, do you need to take a commercial break?
I mean, I'm okay. Yeah, sure.
Well, I was gonna give you another question. I was gonna push to your next question.
Let's do another question, but maybe in the meantime, is this how you order from Bryce directly?
Yes.
Bryce,
Yes.
Bryce, I was thinking about some more caffeine.
You don't even have to look at him. He can hear you in his
What are
ears.
my options over there? Just bring me some
Caffeine?
more caffeine, yeah.
I've got a Red Bull. I've got an Alani.
Let's do Alani. I probably shouldn't, but let's just do it anyway.
Do you remember?
Oh, thanks. Whoa, wow.
That was the one I had you do the last time you were on, the slogan for.
Oh, yeah.
Bryce, can I do something delicious?
Yeah.
Can I do one of the probiotic, whatever it is?
Kombucha? You gonna drink kombucha?
Now, wait,
I
are you,
would love kombucha.
Are you
kombucha?
asking this though because you think the answer or is going to go for a long time? Like, should I take a break?
No, I just assumed
He's inferring you should take a break.
I was just kind of looking at the time where we're at, and I'm like, oh, we could take a commercial break,
Yeah.
but you didn't seem to want to, so
I'm doing all right.
let's go to the next question.
Yeah.
Let's go. I mean, at this rate, we're gonna be here for 4 more hours.
Yes, that's what it looks
Because I
like
think
right
he has
now.
a few more questions.
Right.
He has multiple questions. Let's go.
Do you want me to ask?
Yeah, you go.
Okay.
You go.
All right. So, how about this? This one might be a little complex, maybe not. I hate. Sometimes it's hard when people put you on the spot and stuff. So, I want to know how things have changed, like for you, for what you get out of competition. So you compete a lot. When you started competing as a lower belt, like white and blue belt, what the benefits you felt like you got, and what your motivation was, like what drove you then, and the benefits you got from it, and how has that changed now as one of the busiest black belt competitors?
So for me, when I was competing as a lower belt, if you will, so as white and blue belt specifically, for me, honestly, it was just more. I was like very selfish, if you will. I didn't really compete. I didn't compete anywhere near as much as I do now. I think I was like doing the tally the other day. I think I average like 50, a little over 50 matches a year. So like, and that's since 2015. Yeah.
That's a lot of. I don't know if I've had 50 matches since 2015, bro.
Yeah,
Holy
it's
smokes!
like since 2015, it's a little over 50 matches a year, and so that's all at black belt too. As a white and blue belt, and for that, like I was just really selfish. I wanted to compete, just honestly for me. I wanted to compete just to kind of see how good I was. That was like the main motivation. Sometimes I wanted to compete because I was having a bad week, and I just could go to this Naga and sign up that on a Friday or what have you, or sign up the day of on a Saturday and just go compete. So it was very kind of very self-driven, if you will, in terms of like, I need to beat somebody up, or I at least try to beat somebody up. I was not a very good blue belt competitor, let's just say that, but at least try to do my best there. And that for me, what I got out of it, a lot of stress relief, if you will, a lot of like dopamine dump, if you will. But it all changed when I started running Newbury Training Center. Like when my brother left it for me, it was like, okay, I can't just go out there and just try to do this for myself. I actually have to be a little strategic in doing this and set an example for the people who are paying me to teach them, and paying them to like paying me rather to be some sort of example. Like I have to practice what I preach a little bit. So for me, the motivation of it, like there's that stage in between purple and kind of like the beginning of black belt, if you will, where it's just like I need to show them that they're what they're capable of doing. And to an extent, yes, that's still kind of drives me, if you will. That's still part of my motivation. And to answer your question, Kyle, like during that time from purple belt through, I would say, the first year or two of black belt, what I felt I benefited from most, I call it selfish, if you will, I kind of learned jiu-jitsu. I kind of learned a lot about myself. I learned what I was capable of doing. I learned my faults. I learned how to correct them. It was a lot of trial and error. I didn't really, at the time, from purple belt going through black belt, I didn't have a head instructor at that time to like really watch over my development or anything. A lot of it was like a hive mind, if you will. all the people, all of our current black belts now back in Chicago who would sit there and help me just become the person who I eventually became. It was just a lot of proof of concept. I competed a lot for them. And when I would get results, if you will, it was just like, okay, what we're doing and how I'm running the school isn't so bad. It's like, it actually works. It kind of makes sense. It was just validation, if you will. That's the main thing I was getting out of it. It was validating that we are on a path that is not so bad. It's, correct. It's not the way. There's multiple ways. But at the same time, it's just like, we're not exactly going in the wrong direction. So let's just kind of keep going. And through the years, again, I started running a gym when I was a purple belt. You can't do that. You can't really do that anymore, so to speak, right? But it was a lot of trial and error on how to do it, on what to teach, what to focus on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Competing during that time period, so let's just call it 2005 through the rest of the decade, allowed me to kind of see what worked, what didn't work. I remember a couple times during that time I got checked by my own students in terms of like, we can't train like this. I don't know where you saw this from, but we cannot train like this. So, okay, cool. Mutiny is about to happen. Let's fix it. Just move, course correct and keep going. Now, my motivation, one, it is to set an example for like some of the students. We get a lot of masters come in, a lot of masters level white belts and blue belts come in and they join us. And yes, we get young athletes as well too, but I think we get a really high percentage of like, say, that towards the end of Master One, that mid-30s white belt or the mid-30s person who has always wanted to do jiu-jitsu, maybe was about to start in COVID, but what life happens and they're like, you know what, now is the time. Life settled down, COVID's over and stuff. I'm gonna sit there and go train, and they come in and they kind of see a lot of our competition team, which just so happens to be a fair amount of Masters 1 and 2 and 3. And they're like, wow, I want to do what these guys do. And then they see me at Masters 4. They're like, okay, cool. I can keep doing this for basically the next 10 to 20 years. That's kind of cool. And then they see like, I win more often than I lose. And they're like, that's actually really cool that I could do this. And, I can kind of just keep trying to test myself and have fun with it. So that's one thing. I what motivates me to compete as well too is like trying to set an example for my kids, and other kids as well too in our kids program. Just like, guys, you guys can do this. We're like, for all intents and purposes, we're not like a competitor factory, if you will. And I don't mean that's a bad thing. And I'm not saying that in a bad connotation. I'm just saying like, in the Midwest, a lot of people don't really see us as like that competitor school or what have you, and nor would I blame them. But at the same time, I'm like, guys, if this is what you want to do, just follow this path. Just get started on this path. We can figure out everything else. And we can figure out everything else, and that's fine. We're going to be improved with that. What do I get out of competing now? Honestly, it's the most fun thing that I do. What I really get out of it. Honestly, like a bunch of aches and pains and everything like that. But honestly, it's just the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. I always tell everyone that crosses over at the higher belts, like at brown and black belt, and they cross over from masters, say 2 to 3. I tell them like, look, everyone's cool at Masters 3, 100%. It's like the good old boys club. Like, everyone will give the nod, everything like that. As soon as the match is over, everyone's dapping each other up. And just like, where are we going to go get a drink? Where are we going to go get a steak? What have you. Because at that point, everyone's 40 plus. Presumably you've got a family that you may or may not know of. But presumably like you've got other priorities in your life. So everyone's a lot cooler at that later level and stuff. So for now, I feel like we're on a tour, like we're touring, we're 1980s rock band and stuff, and just we're having a reunion tour.
That's cool. Time. And it's also like for you, Mark, I've always noticed you're such an an experimenter is a word, but even more probably better words you have a very trailblazer personality in a sense of, oh, you want to do that. I've already blazed that trail. Let me help you. Or you want to do that. I'll try to do that. And then I can tell you how it went, and I kind of can cut through that path and lead you. And that's what I feel like you do so much with your competition. You know, for me, it's been so helpful because like this conversation we're having, we're recording. I've had these conversations with you hours and hours and hours over the last years where I'm just, you know, asking different questions about, hey, you do this. Tell me about it. Oh, you do this. Tell me about it. And not everybody's like that. Most people like lack the confidence to go, oh, I'll just try that and see how it goes. And I see that so much in your jiu-jitsu now with competitors. You have this, like you said, just follow this path. You've been like, I'm blazing this trail. Because then one day it's going to be much easier for you to get at least to where I am. You're going to be able to get there much faster than I am. And so it's cool to get to see. And even like the extension of it is people who aren't just at your school in New Breed get benefited. Obviously, like for me, I've gotten benefit from it for years, and just people getting to listen get to benefit from it now too. But it is a really cool thing to see that kind of personality type that you have. Like, oh, don't worry, I'll just go send it.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and that's like, it's funny because I get a lot of messages like that too, or I get a lot of people come up to me at tournaments and saying like, you don't know how many people you actually affect. And for me, I'm just trying to do things while I can still do it. Like, you know, it's as long as I'm still able to, get on the mats and try to do things, I'm still going to keep doing it. And you're right, though. I do try to sit there and, for lack of better terms, put myself out there and make as many mistakes as I can, just so I know what those mistakes are. Because, many times, and, we're all school owners here, we're all competitors. Sometimes we get out there and we're like, don't know exactly what I want to do. I just know I want to head in that direction. And we'll figure out the rest. And then sometimes we succeed while we're figuring things out, and sometimes we fail. And like honestly, one of our black belt competitors who joined us from a different school, I remember 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he went to me after a tournament and he just goes to me. He's just like, Mark, you're the best loser I've ever met. And I looked at him, I literally looked at him like, I'm gonna punch you in the face, man. He's like, no, what I meant was you take losing extremely well. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I've tried to do whatever the heck it is I tried to set out, or let's just say I didn't have a plan and I went out there and I tried to execute a plan and it didn't work. I'm like, what am I supposed to, that's what I chose to do. And I failed. All right.
He's like, you are a fantastic loser.
Yeah, it's like in Space Jam where when Michael Jordan strikes out and they're like, good strikeout, Mike, good strikeout. Dude, when I strike out, it looks nasty, man. Like when you strike out, it's a beautiful thing.
All right, that's pretty much how I took that.
Were you gonna say something?
I was gonna, but were you about to jump in?
Carry on.
Okay, so I had a different avenue to go unless you had something to jump on there.
Oh no, I was just gonna tell a stupid story.
I want to hear it.
Oh, okay. It literally has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
This is exactly what we want to hear about.
So I'll tell this and then maybe commercial break.
Okay.
Okay. So you know how we all, this is, I don't even know why this came to my mind because it's literally nothing, but that was a great answer, by the way. We all get, as gym owners, we get stupid calls from people about really dumb things. You know what I mean? I just got one a couple weeks ago. I was just telling somebody about this. And this guy calls me. And, this is normal questioning. And he's like, he keeps asking me, he's annoying me right away because he keeps asking me how long till he can spar. And I'm like, how much experience do you have? And I think he's talking about grappling, though. He's saying sparring. And I was like, how many classes do you have? And he's like, or how much experience do you have? And he's like, I've taken like 10 classes. I'm like, all right, well, you'd still be in the basics. And we just want people to hurt themselves and this and that, whatever. And he just keeps asking me about sparring. And I'm just like, I can't figure out. I was like, hey, man, we got a process. You got to follow that process. And then finally he goes, well, I'm not calling about myself. And I'm like, what do you mean? Who are you calling about? What are you talking about? And then he starts to go on to tell me he's like developed this, I don't know if it was an app or whatever, or like it's some kind of like fight finder kind of thing where he goes, basically, I want to know if you want to be a part of this. Basically what we do is we match people up that just are close in age and like weight. And then we have like gyms that we're affiliated with and people just show up and fight. And I'm just like,
I love it.
And I was just like, absolutely not. I go,
absolutely not. Let me shout it out on the podcast.
I'm like, no. First thing is, I was like, I am absolutely not interested but I know who is. There's a guy at Head Nod HQ.
Oh no!
And here's his number, his email, his Instagram.
Listen, I'll tell you this for sure. I would do it but the guy has to fight me first.
That guy.
You gotta, if you can beat me, dude, I know you're making sales. I know you're making a commission. How much you want to earn it? You know, like,
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
But I'm just sitting there like I was kind of blown away. And he had already gotten me annoyed because he kept asking about the sparring thing. So I was kind of already in that mood. Like, and I'm like, dude, I was like, can you think about the liability of that, man? I'm like, get real. I was like, good luck calling around. I was like, I have no interest in that whatsoever. And hung up. But then after the fact, though, then I had to keep laughing about it because I'm like, this dude had the balls to like just be, hey, can I use your gym to just send people there to fight each other?
When can they
so
spar? Because they got to fight.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he even went to the extent he goes, well, I understand your program. He goes, so I could just put like something in there that if you guys fight at Watson's, that you have to go through their basics program first.
That's amazing.
And I was like, he's
prerequisites. I love it.
You should have been like, we only let people who pay for a full year in advance do sparring.
Yeah.
It's only those people.
That's hilarious.
What a great segue to a commercial break, right?
Take a quick commercial break. You would never try to learn jiu-jitsu without a coach. So why try to run a jiu-jitsu school without Kicksite? It handles the stuff you shouldn't be wasting your time on. Student billing, attendance tracking, signups, even your website. I've used Kicksite for years and it's made my life so much easier and my business so much better. It is built specifically for jiu-jitsu gym owners. Check them out at kicksite.com/Josh McKinney and get a 30-day free trial. And you'll see how much smoother your gym could run with Kicksite. When I had long hair, is why I cut it. Joe Kelso kept saying, when we were losing in the game of cornhole or bags, whatever you call it, he kept going, my partner's got a headband. My partner's got a headband, man. He's a boy and he's got a headband. And I'm like, yeah, Joe, I'm going to cut my hair now. You got me.
Joe Kelso is the only guy I'll let not wear a shirt at my gym. I have a policy, change in the locker room or the bathrooms. But here's the thing. Joe, every now and again, will sneak over on a Saturday, drop in, even though he knows he's not welcome.
Walk in his underwear.
And he'll take his shirt off then because he wants to see if there's any chance of any females there, he wants them to see that even though he's in his 40s, he's still got a six-pack.
Yeah.
But he does that. The reason why I allow it is because he always mops the mats.
That's a
So
tough.
I'm like,
well, that's because he's
I'm
mopping
like-
the mat shirtless.
I know. So
He's
they
just
can see the muscles.
I'll tell you this, Kyle. Open mat on a Sunday at my gym, not a female in sight. He does the exact same thing.
All right.
And so I don't think it has
So
anything to do with
maybe
that.
he's just trying to
I think
impress
it has
everyone.
I think it has to do with him.
Yeah.
Do you remember that time that
I know what you're talking about.
a week after elbow surgery, when I convinced you and Joe Kelso to fight on top of the St. Louis IBJJF Open banner that we stole from the event after we won?
Hilarious.
Because we brought it to Kyle's 4th of July party. Because why wouldn't
not?
you?
Why not?
And it was the inaugural one. We had to bring it to the party. And I think we were trying to take a picture, and I had been pushing both guys like, hey.
So yeah,
Like,
so
Kyle, he really thinks with one hand you couldn't beat him.
I had a party over at my house, a little 4th of July gathering, and yeah, so he's badgering me, talking some shit, and I'm like, I've had a few, a lot, and I'm like, dude, I could beat you with one. I just had elbow surgery,
Right.
So anyway, we lay that down. Everybody's just grappling in the backyard on top of the IBJJF.
Kyle,
banner.
you were the only people grappling. We took a picture together.
Oh, yeah, I
you
remember.
were the only
Yeah.
people that actually grappled.
So I got after it on old Joe Kelso, and we have documented evidence of me choking him out, both hooks in, and my wife was not happy.
She was not happy with you. She was actually a little mad at me. And I've known her for a very long time. I don't think she's ever been mad at me that I've noticed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did. I was like, you guys should do this. We're all here for it,
And I knew in my head, no matter how much pain, I was going to work through it and choke Joe Kelso.
And he says choke. The picture is very obvious. He's about cheekbone,
Yeah.
height. His Joe Kelso's head is turned facing Kyle like The Exorcist. But the best part is it's not on video. Joe tapped. And then he tapped again. And then he tapped again. And then he finally started tapping enough that Kyle's like, okay, I'm going to let him go. But Kyle held it in for a while.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Yeah.
when it's a
I'm proud
jaw,
of
when
you.
it's a face choke, like it's not like you're going to sleep.
It's not like it's gonna hurt you,
yeah.
you know? It's like, what's your spine do? You know, like you don't need one of those.
R.I.P. Joe Kelso. No, just kidding. Love you, buddy.
Love you, Joe Kelso. Big shout out, Joe Kelso. Did you want to go, Kyle, or because I have a question, but it's gonna take us on a totally different route.
Yeah, I could. Yeah. So I thought, well, one other one I had. It's kind of odd. I thought it was weird because this week in class, I was really shocked that people didn't know this. So I thought I would ask you. Do you know? You ever heard the difference between you're known for your cauliflower ear? You know what I mean? Do you know the difference between cauliflower ear and then what they call dog ear?
No.
Okay,
Clue.
it's so weird, and it comes mostly from more MMA fighting. So I want to show you though, because it's really weird. You got to feel it. You felt your own ears a ton of times. Feel Josh's. He's got cauliflower ear. Feel this. Go reach across.
Right. Should be stiff. Yep.
What do you think? Same.
This is weird.
So this from MMA.
It's weird that we're
it's
doing
called
this.
dog ear. So feel this a little bit different.
Man, you lucky. I didn't just drop an elbow like that. That's funny. That's your question?
Honestly, I was really worried when you told me about the dog ear joke that Mark could shoot you.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
like, man,
if we're in Chicago.
That's what I was saying. I was like, we're in Illinois, bro. But he didn't drive. He
Correct.
flew. So
Correct.
I'm hoping this is gonna be a good joke.
Correct.
That was a good joke.
That was a good job.
That was a good joke. That was solid.
Well, I never know who knows the old dog ear joke. You know what I mean? Like, who knows it? So who am I going to get away with on? I just did it this week, though, to someone. I was like, I don't know how it came up, but somebody was sitting there, and I pulled it on.
What I should have done was this. I should have just been That's what I should have done.
We first time we looked at these buildings where we're at, our second time. So the first time we went, we're like, man, I really like this. Kyle, I want you to come look at this building. I think we're going to put our jiu-jitsu school here. And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. I'll come look at it. So he comes and looks at it. He meets my real estate agent. And my joke with Kyle that I love to do is he'll get embarrassed when you do do you know Kyle from The Ultimate Fighter season 12? Right? And so I probably do that. So that's probably why the topic is going of MMA and everything. And Kyle does the dog ear thing to my real estate agent. And I've never seen anyone bite on it that hard.
Yeah.
She almost had a heart attack. And
She jumped pretty good.
Yeah, it was she's still my real estate agent. It's not like she, was like, I'm never going to do business with you
Right.
again. We got the building too.
There you go.
And so,
And a discount.
but yeah, it was if I ever hear Kyle, but what about dog ear? I'm like, okay, I'm going to be quiet now. Got to watch.
I try to do it everywhere. Anytime I can think of it. We were at Engelbart's engagement party, and there was a couple Brazilian girls there, and I did it to them. I was just wherever I'm at, if I think about it, I do it to people.
Yeah, that's good.
It's
That's
good.
good.
You ever heard of dog ear?
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense. I like how I said I have a question that's going to change the topic, and you're like, no, let me get this one in first. Okay, so now I do have one that is going to change the topic, and I'm sure that Kyle and I will riff on this too, but this is more, how long have you been in the Chicago jiu-jitsu space? How long have you been there?
The school officially opened November of 2004.
And
so
you
over
were
21 years.
21 years.
It's going to be 21 years.
And you were training before that in
Correct.
Chicago?
Yes, for a little bit.
Okay.
But I actually started in the Philippines.
Okay. And so kind of, I guess I'll go more the reason that I'm even asking this is because the Chicago jiu-jitsu space has always felt, obviously it's a much bigger city than St. Louis, but just in general, it's always felt ahead of St. Louis. And so it's always been a really nice thing for St. Louis competitors to be able to sneak over there and to be able to compete. And just more when I feel it's not even like the technique, is like the infrastructure, the amount of schools that there were in St. Louis 10 years ago. I feel like Kyle and I could have probably named every school that there is. Now we're starting to get to this point where I'm sure it's like this for you, where you hear about it and you're like, no, I don't know this gym. I really don't even know that affiliation at all. And you're kind of like, it's starting to grow in our area, but I do still feel like, Chicago feels 10, 15 years ahead. And so more of my question is what is, just from your perspective, the competition space of owning gyms, like what are the opportunities like since there are more people doing jiu-jitsu? Because obviously you guys have significantly more tournaments than we do, significantly more super fights than we do. And what are like the other opportunities that come with that growth? And then if you want to even go, what are some of like the pitfalls that come with that growth of the jiu-jitsu community in the Chicago area growing? And kind of for us, maybe what could we expect, and not only expect, but then how can we plan ahead, as our jiu-jitsu community grows?
So it's funny you mentioned that question because I was asked a very similar style question last week by a black belt from another school. TK brought his friend over, and we were just talking about essentially the Chicago jiu-jitsu scene, the Chicagoland jiu-jitsu scene, if you will. And so to kind of first answer your question, it all kind of boils down to, first off, every jiu-jitsu school can succeed because the fact of the matter is that I do truly believe that jiu-jitsu is for everyone. It can be for everyone. But the reality is this, is that not every jiu-jitsu school is going to be for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it goes. And it could be for a myriad of, so many different reasons, so many various reasons, right? It could be for, I don't like to train with, you could be a female, not want to train with males. Mm-hmm. That's one. You could be, for example, one of the things that we need to deal with is, and I don't know how prevalent you guys, if it's a prevalent situation for you guys, but I don't know if you guys have to deal with someone who has religious beliefs and they can only train with certain people and so forth and so on, all that so forth. That happens too. But I truly do believe that every school can succeed if you kind of figure out your niche. That's kind of the trick. For me, COVID was a little bit of a hard reset. Let me rephrase that. Pre-COVID, rather, I was kind of looking at trying to make my school appeal to everyone. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is that we weren't struggling, but we weren't actually growing all that much. Mm-hmm. So what ended up happening is that, COVID happens and stuff, and we kind of took that opportunity to kind of essentially do a soft reboot, if you will, on everything that we've been doing. We've been in business. We were successful and everything else, but it just kind of plateaued. And then fortunately or unfortunately enough, COVID occurred, and we were able to sit there and be like, you know what, just rethink things out. Could never ever say that. And just ended up, we're going to focus on this route. We're going to focus on the more competition-oriented route. I understand not everyone wants to compete. No one really has to compete. But what we're going to go with is we're going to train in this manner to get everyone ready in this manner, to get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just basically that's where our focus is going to be. And we took off. We actually grew because at least it felt more structured, in my opinion. Out from the outside looking in, if I had to it was a random stranger and I looked at it, I'm like, okay, I know this school is good at this. This school, which is right next to it, is good at this. Mm-hmm. This school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Chicago it's not quite Starbucks level where there's a jiu-jitsu school in every corner, but there are a ton of jiu-jitsu schools in the Chicagoland area. And everyone has their own little niche, their own little demographic that they cater to. There's millions and millions of people out there. We all can sit there and, for lack of better terms, have a piece of the pie, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I hate using that term, but that's kind of exactly what it is. So my best advice, kind of figure out what it is that you guys do the best, cater towards it, understanding that, you might not, it's not going to appeal to everyone, right? But if this is what you do, and the majority of your demographic or your student base, rather, just, is here for that exact same reason, just cater towards that. People will drive, X amount of minutes, if you will, to get to that school, to get to your school, if you are passionate about it, are consistent with it, and the message is something they agree with. It just is what it is. So that's what I feel is the most important thing. Be true to yourself, because they can absolutely sit there and see if you're not genuine.
Yes.
100%. And that's kind of the pitfalls about it. That's one of the pitfalls, if you will. A lot of people, you seen my social media as far as the school goes. I kind of don't really do it anymore. One of the reasons being is that, like, you know, we're kind of almost at capacity, if you will, for our current location. But you know, I just don't like being that person. I like there are times when I post on social media, I try to be genuine, like for my personal page, and then sometimes I now outsource it a little bit, but you know, I'm still predominantly like posting the stuff for our page, for our school. And I try to be super genuine about it. I'm like, look, this is who we are. I'm not going to try to draw you in and make you think that, you know, you can achieve your goal, which we're not supporting in any way, shape, or form, that you can achieve it here. I don't want to do that, because at the end of the day, if that person comes in, this new prospective student comes in, wants to be, I don't know, say the next UFC champ, and we're not really supporting an MMA program right now. We have people who train that are, you know, in MMA programs, so I default that to someone else. I outsource it rather. But if someone just comes in like, no, all I can afford to do is come to your gym. That's it. I can't afford anything else, and I want to be in the UFC. I will flat out tell them, like, yo, you might want to go to here.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, you know, if especially if you have experience. If you don't have experience, I'm like, okay, try everything else in here first.
Yeah.
Let's kind of make it worth your while first. Try it all out. You might realize you don't like getting punched in the face, and you might not want to, you know, go that route.
You might realize this is what you want to do.
Exactly. You might realize that grappling is for you. You might realize that you hate grappling. You might realize that, like, you know what? I just want to lift weights, and you just quit entirely. Okay, cool, whatever. At least we help set you on the path. But like now you have, it's just. But at the same time, like some of these pitfalls that you see some schools will go out there and be like, I need students. Let me try to cater to everybody. Not understanding their niche. And there's also the whole kind of, it's, you know, it's, you see some schools open up next to other schools, and then those schools will end up, you know how it goes, like the whole territorial type deal thing.
Hate you guys.
I hate you guys. Like, like Josh opened up right next to me. Just like, but the thing is that, like, I might think that, not understanding what demographic you're really going for.
We could be serving two totally different clients. That makes so much sense.
I see that happen a lot more than it should.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, I see a lot of, you know, if a school honestly opened up right next to me in the same kind of location, the same industrial park that I'm located in, I'm like, cool, no problem, man. That's fine. I completely understand. You got to sit there and open up where you got to open up. The deal made sense to you. Would I have done it if I was in your shoes? No, I wouldn't have. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and tell you that you're wrong, per se. Like, I wish you well. And that's all it is.
And I'm sure that that's happening more and more in your area. I mean, I guess the reason I even had that perspective is so many of the people I came up competing against. And, you know, and that's really how you and I originally know each other. I came up competing against your guys. And it was so many of them now are starting jiu-jitsu schools. And I'm seeing it like, you know, because we're all in our early 30s, or a lot of us in our early 30s. I'm like, oh, this is, I'm not trying to be a competitor as much anymore. It's time to start a school. And I'm like, man, these are just the people from Chicago that I know. And I've seen all these schools start this year. And then I'm like, how many people have I never even interacted with that are also starting schools? And I just, that's what I wonder about too.
So it's funny that you mentioned that. Excuse me. It's funny you mentioned that, because that's exactly what we were talking about. What I was implying about earlier, wherein I had a conversation with a different black belt from another black belt from another school. He asked me the question. He's like, Mark, why do you think the Chicagoland area has essentially a lack of 20-year-old competitors, of good, like 18 to 25-year-old, like upper echelon competitors? Why do you think that that's an issue? Or why do you think that is? And I'm like, it's a really simple question. It's a really simple answer to that question, in my opinion. Everyone that person was giving more examples, just like, you know, when I was growing up, or like kind of when you were coming up through the ranks, there were the Laytons, there was Asher, there was Asher Dharma, there was all these other different people up there. John was still, like, you know, there and everything else. All these, Andy Lewinberg from Madison, all these guys were all coming up together. But the thing is that, like, our sport grew. And all these individuals, so you have John and Matt Layton out in Iowa. You have like Andrew Lunenberg up in Wisconsin. You have all these guys that are from different places. All these guys, if they wanted to compete back in the day, if you will, like 10, 15 years ago, maybe as even recent as 8 years ago, in order for them to compete, they needed to go to essentially one central location to go compete. Back in like the early 2000s, that was the Arnolds. We'd all drive to Columbus. Hate the drive and everything like that, but we would all drive to Columbus, and it would be upper echelon talent there. And now what ends up happening is that, like, since our sport has grown so much, you have all these accomplished black belts. They're like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to open up my own school because we're older and everything else. So we open up our own school. We've done the driving around everywhere, and they raise their own competitors. And what ends up happening is that these individuals, they don't actually need to go to the Arnolds anymore because our sport has grown. There are so many more local competitions. So, say for example, if I was in, I don't know, was like Wisconsin, right? Wait, okay, so I could be so and so black belt, produce these half a dozen really good guys, and these good guys are looking for competition. But at the same time, they don't need to go really anywhere else. They can just kind of stay within, like, the Wisconsin state and compete against each other or some other people that may go over there. But it all depends on kind of like how deep their pockets are or what have you, right? And it's not really on them either. So for us, we didn't know any better. We would just go to, okay, cool, that's a big competition. That's the closest competition. Just so happens it's a big competition. We would go. Like Kyle, you and I, we fought each other in 2004 at the Arnold's. I'm sorry, 2003, November of 2003.
2003? How old are you guys?
How do you remember that?
Holy
Like
smokes!
that?
I was 9 years
November
old.
of 2003 is a Gracie Pro-Am circuit. I still have the shirt.
Oh my gosh!
And whatchamacallit, we fought there. I fought you. I remember you picked me up in close guard. And I sat there, opened up. I dropped to a double leg and put you down, but I also spiked you in the ribs and you knocked the wind out of you. Nice. And then we just sat there until you recovered. Then we started backstanding, and then you beat the piss out of me.
Dang.
and then whatchamacallit, after that, you fought John Toutage. And I think you won that tournament. Yes. So yeah, I remember weird things. So that's but yes, I remember that. Yeah. But like back then, that tournament was like the only tournament we could go to.
Yeah.
And now, because our sport's grown, all these different states, all these different regions have their own platforms, if you will. Iowa, Subspectrum, St. Louis, sure, Fuji, if I'm not mistaken, originated out here, the Fuji tournament, if you will, at least regionally, right? Chicago, you have your own tournaments up there as well. No one's traveling as much anymore. So what ends up happening is that, like, you have good, talented people. You really do. All these different regions have good, talented people. But they don't realize that if they just travel a little bit, or they all kind of like, if we just started kind of intermingling again, all these different regions started intermingling again, it's going to push the level. It's going to increase the level of competition, which in turn will increase the just level of acumen that everyone else is going to have.
And that's
natural byproduct of it.
For us, that was Chicago Open. That was what, a lot of my best competitors that I competed against, even that were at the international winning big stuff level, I competed with them in Chicago. Right. And it was like, it was this place that I could guarantee I'm going to go and get to test against these insanely tough people. But what I'm also seeing too with the adult competitors is, and I think that you're right, I think it's like because of how spread out everything is, when you do have like the cream rise to the top, you have these guys that are good and that are legitimately special, and then they go around in their city and in their state, in their region, and they're like, nobody's testing me anymore. I'm not dealing with tough competition anymore. A lot of them will say to themselves, well, I'll go to one of these big gyms that are in areas surrounded by other big name gyms. Right. So the competition has to be, and it is, and that level of competition is very high there. And I do see that like that wasn't an option to leave for as much. Correct. I mean, not that it wasn't, but it wasn't the same option.
Well, that was not available. Rather, it was it just wasn't a thing back then. So while Kyle and I were going through the ranks at blue, purple, and arguably brown, that just wasn't an option for us. You kind of were stuck where you were. That's it. And now you have, if I'm not mistaken, I think JT Torres just put up I saw something on social media the other day where after whatever happened and stuff like that, he ended up talking with Keenan, and Keenan invited him out to California, and he ended up staying there for 4.5 years. And so a lot of people didn't have any access to that back at least when we were developing those main core like years, if you will, right? Now you do have that access. And coincidentally, I know of a I believe is a purple belt. He moved within this past year, I would say, if I'm not mistaken, May, he moved out to California to train with Sean Roberts out there. That's like, and he went back and forth a little bit, and he wants to take the opportunity to see how far he can go into jiu-jitsu, get into jiu-jitsu, and how high he can climb up the ranks. And he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was still living at home, so he's young, and he was able to kind of, for lack of better terms, window shop and figure out what academy he was, or what team, what affiliation he wanted to, go through or represent. He ended up picking Sean Roberts, and you know what? Good, kudos to you. It's like, if that's what you want to do, if that's the best fit you feel for you, good, go for it. Go for it. 100%. I absolutely applaud that decision. If that's what you want to do, go for it, man. It's like, you have no idea what's about to happen. You're essentially trailblazing, if you will, right? Some people may say like, oh, well, you're like, oh, he's just following what other people did. No. He's blazing a trail for himself. That's all it is. And he's willing to take that risk. Go for it. But but for me, that's, I keep harkening back to that question that was posed to me. It's just like, oh, where's the quality? We don't have that one guy, like in Chicago or whatever. It's like, that's kind of how it was framed to me. I'm not saying that, but I was just like, no. They're there. It's a matter of, as a coach, as an instructor, as an academy owner, it's a matter of like, if you identify that is the person's goals, it's how can I help this person, or these individuals rather, attain their goals, and keeping their minds wide open, if you will, to the fact that the pool that they have currently, for lack of better terms, conquered is just a pond. And a pond in an ocean. It's just a small little thing. They need to understand there are bigger things. That someone out there is, like, somewhere out there in that vast nothingness, if you will, someone is absolutely better than them. There's probably more than just someone, but there's a group of individuals that are significantly better than you. You have to find them. You have to test yourself against them. You have to intelligently come out. You have to know something about it. Know something about that interaction. You have to learn something about that interaction afterwards. And right now, I'm not saying that these individuals aren't motivated, because that's just what they know.
Yeah.
It's just like raising kids now in this generation and stuff. It's just like, that's kids. People only know what they know. They're being, not to frame it in a bad way. They're being ignorant of it. They just don't know. So they didn't have to go through, what Kyle and I went through, back in our day.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Well, it was like that. It was so hard to. It was so hard to like. I guess back then, I would have never thought like, I'm just going to pack up and go to this competition school. I'm just going to move in and live and train there. You know what I mean?
That wasn't even what made that option made no sense.
No, it made no sense. And I wonder if also too, like, maybe part of the reason for like the potency in certain cities versus other places is that, I think the natural like kind of evolution of like these people open schools, and they either learn from other people that have done it, or they learn through failure that like, it's hard to pay the bills with a competition school. And so I think what happens is you have a lot of people that do have that sense of like jiu-jitsu is for everybody, but then you get somebody that has talent and you can only bring them up this far. And that person realizes, well, if I want something more, I'm going to have to gravitate towards one of these competition cities that has a bunch of competition schools. So then you see the potency really focus around those schools, because everybody knows, hey, I want to run a gym and I want to help. At least, I'm not projecting just what I think, but I do think a lot of people are like that. I want to help as many people as I can. I want to have a successful gym. Of course, everybody wants to make money. So you want to like broaden it out to everybody, but a lot of times that's very hard. Then okay, then I'm gonna have these killers over here that I'm like really focused on. I'm gonna create these guys who are gonna be world champions, and you're still trying to do the masters people over here that just kind of want to hang out and compete and pay the bills. So anyway, that's just kind of my speculation on that.
You need like it's like you were saying, it's like a specialty thing. How many people really in either of our areas could you say, hey, these people have the knowledge to do so, and then they specialize in building adult black belt competitors? Because you don't like almost any of the other levels. Once you get to black belt, it stops being this way. But like any of the other levels, it's like the team is built around each other, and it's about everybody else growing. But when you start to get to the higher levels of anything, the team has to start to be being built around that person or those people, right? It's like in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, but you're probably not serving a very, very strong adult competition team and a very, very strong masters competition team. Tend to be two different things. And I always and it's funny for me, I noticed that when I was younger and when I was adult, I tended to have more adult competitors. As I've gotten older, and obviously this is going to happen too, my guys are going to have aged with me, but we tend to get more guys now that are already at that age, that are a little older too. Yeah. And so I think
it's very cyclical though. It's just, we could have this conversation or you could have a couple other people on here maybe in about 10, 15 years, and you guys, they could be talking about the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's just basically these individuals are growing up in your generation and also kind of coming along with you for this ride, if you will.
Yeah.
And who knows what the trends are going to be in 10 to 15 years in our sport. No one knows. So it's kind of like very, we're just kind of guessing, if you will.
Yeah.
We're just making all these educated guesses as to whether or not that's what's going to happen. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Just guess, but I'd put money on it though. Mm-hmm. For me, I do feel that you can actually create competitors, adult competitors, if you will, if you run a successful, for lack of better terms, master's program. Mm-hmm.
Which you have done it before too.
Yes, mm-hmm. I personally have done it. I have some pretty high level adult competitors that when in a predominantly geared master's program. It's just all in the matter of how it's structured, if you will. Mm-hmm. I try not to. I believe, in my opinion, for example, if you're starting a new school, right, you have to teach that lowest common denominator, mm-hmm. right, and then it gets to a certain point where everyone kind of gets to a certain level. I was just telling somebody this the other day. When you start a kids program, it's a brand new kids program. Many of these kids have never, they can't spell BJJ. They cannot spell BJJ. So this whole demographic cannot spell BJJ. Uh-huh. So what ends up happening is that your first job is to teach these kids, these younger kids, how to move, coordination, confidence, things like that, if you will, right? Things that are normally associated more with, say, a gymnastics program or a traditional martial arts program. But it gets to a certain level where these, you are no longer teaching these kids to be athletes and dogs, if you will, right? You now, if they choose to continue in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-jitsu or grappling or what have you, you now need to teach them to be less of a dog and kind of more of an actual Jiu-jitsu player or more of a grappling, but more of a cerebral person. No one's questioning your toughness. You're going to get to a certain point where you being bigger, faster, stronger, and tougher is not going to work anymore. Mm-hmm. You actually need to learn things, and you have to you have to transition that program. So, kind of going along those lines, for us, I don't know about you, Kyle, but I remember back in the day when I first took over Newbury Training Center for my younger brother, your Uncle Miles. Who runs Tactical Hive on Instagram and stuff, so look it up.
Love Uncle Miles,
yeah. But when basically when he gave it to me, Kyle, you might remember these days, we were training and just being idiots about it. We'd just be like, hey, let's run one class a day. It's gonna be 3-4 hours long, and we're just gonna keep going until everyone's done bleeding.
A little more primitive.
Yeah, pretty much. We didn't know any better, but now it's different and everything else. So taking that methodology, like methodology is always going to change throughout the years. And like, just like any other sport, you could apply that exact same kind of, the concept, like that's the exact same saying, if you will, or that exact same truth to any sport. You're just going to evolve, and it's just going to end up coming around and bend again. And it just is what it is. And I can't wait to watch like that next generation of people just like bang their heads against the wall like we did and figure it out and stuff. Like it's just going to keep going in a circle and a circle. It just will. And that's okay. It is what it is.
Yeah. It's there's the proverb of the Mexican fisherman, which is American gets taken out by a Mexican fisherman, and he says, do you, what do you do all day? He's like, oh, I fish for a couple hours, and then I go hang out with my family. And he's like, oh, that's cool. But he's like, if you fished the whole day, you could go sell your fish at the market. And he's like, well, why would I do that? He goes, well, if you sell your fish at the market, then you can take those fish and start to hire your friends. Take that money, start to hire your friends, and they can fish more. You can sell more fish at the market. And he goes, well, why would I do that? He goes, well, if you work really hard, you can create this enterprise where you can start to can the fish and sell them in America, make a lot more money there. He goes, oh, well, why would I do that? He goes, because if you made all that money, you'd have so much time with your family. And it's that same thought of, with jiu-jitsu, we chase these things that are like, I want to be a world champion. Why? Because I love jiu-jitsu. And if I became a world champion, I would be making enough money to do jiu-jitsu as much as I want. And then you go, but you also have your job and you get to do jiu-jitsu 3 times a week. And you love it every time you experience it. And it's this awesome thing for you. You get to do jiu-jitsu now, and you have a chance to do it forever because of you being it smart now. You have the thought of, well, I have to be a world champion, and you sacrifice so much of your body that you don't get to do it in the future. And when you get to that point where you go, oh man, even if you did finally become the world champion, you go, but now I don't get to enjoy jiu-jitsu anymore, And so you definitely, it is like things come full circle so often. Right. That just seems to be a principle of life. Hey, real quick, guys, this is Josh McKinney, and I swear to fix jiu-jitsu. I swear to dismantle every toxic part of jiu-jitsu. The cult leaders, arrested. The mat bullies, publicly armbarred. Injury fakers, wrist lock deniers, and unsolicited advice givers, banished to a gym where no one even knows who John Danaher is. And in order to accomplish all this, all we need is for the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show to explode. And all that takes is a 5-star review, a comment from you. Yes, that is it. That is the spark that burns all of it to the ground, everything that we hate about jiu-jitsu. So go ahead, leave the review, join the resistance, and remember, nobody is safe from the purge. Not even the guy who says, oh, after every round. Especially not the guy who says, oh, after every round. Kyle, what else you got?
That was good.
I stole it from a different podcast. Continue.
What? This is putting you on the spot, so you can think about it.
Oh no.
What has been like the craziest or / funniest thing that's happened to you during a match or at a tournament?
Okay.
Crazy. Oof. You were quick on. You had.
Oh, it immediately popped into my head.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
And at a tournament.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Oh no. Oh no.
All right. I'm thinking of how to mask this because people can reverse engineer this and figure out exactly what I'm talking about.
We get it. I change names, dates, and faces all the time.
Yeah.
Unless it's Bryce, then I'm throwing him under the bus.
Yeah, I'm just reworking it so no one knows who's who.
Okay.
And so forth and so on. All right, so here we go. Many, many moons ago, I was on a run. Let's just say that. I was on a run at a tournament. So, it was in California. At least give that out. That's fine. And I did great in my division. We go to the open weight. Awesome. Let's go. All right. So you see the draw. Blah, 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 blah. I want to bet someone who's very physical human being. Let's just say that. Very imposing individual. I'm like, all right, here we go. And I pull guard against this imposing individual, and things going. It's just it's going okay. It's not great. It's going okay. It's just whatever, right? And I decide, you know what? Let's just try to take. It's still 0-0 if I'm not mistaken. If I remember correctly, it's 0-0. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna push the fight. Let's go. Let's wrestle up on this guy. So I try to wrestle up, right? And the next thing you know, I sit there and I'm like, he's pushing off of me. Blah 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 blah. I finally kind of just get a good insert into a wrestle up position from half guard. So basically, I'm trying to get the coyote guard, right? I go in, and I'm like, oh, that didn't work and stuff. I got knocked back down. Let's go to the waiter sweep. I sit there and grab the far leg in between his legs. I grab it. I'm just trying to get a good, decent grip so I can kind of scoot underneath to maybe go out the back door or the deep half or get to a waiter sweep. And now all of a sudden, I'm holding a fistful of junk.
Oh, no. No wonder you didn't want to bring this person's name into it.
Immediately, it should not have been there. Let's just say that. And it was there. And it should not have been there. And I let go. And I literally just put out oh. I put out those oh, sorry. I did one of those real fast. I don't actually know. I know I said, I had an expression on my face and said, oh, like that, right? Now, I let go. And then all of a sudden, I got my guard passed.
Oh, no.
Immediately. No real technique, I would say. Let's just say no real technique. The way I remember it, it was just an immediate response to what I did. It was immediate retaliation. He just sat there and shot those counter nukes right at me.
Yep.
And then and all of them hit. It was all of them hit. I was like, oh, God. And then I remember in the match, for some reason, he was now on top of side control. And then for some reason, we end up standing up. And I'm trying to do everything that I can. I pull guard again, passes again. And then for some reason, we're standing up again. I don't know why. I'm literally getting ragdolled. And then my coach is on the side just laughing at me. And I can hear him vividly just saying hey, Mark, just do anything. And laughing. Just do anything. Yeah, whatever. Just go. Do it. Have fun out there. And then I get flying triangle.
Oh, my gosh.
I got set up. I literally became a highlight, thankfully, before YouTube.
I've been a highlight post YouTube.
Oh, this was a pre-YouTube highlight. And I got beat the brakes off of me. One of the worst beatings I've ever gotten in a tournament.
Now, see, I was hoping you were going to be you had that grip and you knew the grip that you had, but you still used it to your advantage.
Oh, no, I'm trying to be a nice guy. And I was just oh, God, sorry, my bad. And then he didn't care. I died.
So I have a question that I definitely shouldn't ask. So, do you think that the problem was your hand position? Or was the problem that he was blessed in a way?
Very blessed.
Your hand was where it always is.
Very blessed.
Your hand is where your hand is in a very normal spot to be. And you're
just saying.
That can't be what I think it is. I think this guy has a gun. I don't.
Yes.
Someone should check this guy.
Yes, on the mats. Yes.
Holy smokes.
He was strapped on the mats. Nope. Very blessed individual. God bless him.
I would have tapped. You win, bro. You got me. What am I gonna do to you, buddy? You win.
So he's kind of losing two ways. You know what I mean? You lost the match and in comparison.
Oh yeah. I got murdered in psychologically, emotionally, physically. I was it was just messed up.
I never recovered from it, man.
Yeah, I'm still trying to recover from that.
Holy smokes.
The worst beating I've ever gotten.
Oh, do you have any crazy? Can you top that, Kyle?
I don't think I can top that.
Yeah, I don't think I can top that. I don't.
Yeah, I got flying triangle by a man after he's just racked up a bunch of points and because I grabbed his junk.
And he made him angry. I don't think I got one time. I didn't shake AJ Agasar's hand before a match, and he tried to fight me after when I beat him. That was wild. That was a fun story.
I'm sure one of your students is gonna make a comment on this episode in
Yep.
regards to that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Tag some people.
Definitely.
Oh,
I don't know
gosh.
if we should talk about that on the podcast. We can't rat him out, can we?
Yeah.
One of my students trolls
AJ.
in a certain way, and it just look at his Instagram. Anytime he's tagged anything, anytime he's posted, just look at the comments. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we'll go with. But it's pretty funny. It's pretty impressive, the humor that is. It's a good joke. It's a good joke. It's the same one, but jokes only get old if they're funny, you know. And so that's that's what it is. Kyle, nothing crazy?
Man, I wish I could think of a funny one. I'll think about it while we're chatting. The only one I just came to memory isn't funny. It was just kind of gross, and I remember it vividly. I still even taste it. But yeah, no. I remember I had a good
Off of what story Mark's just told, I'm really nervous right now, Kyle.
No, I just remember. I remember 2009 doing International Master Senior in Brazil. And I had a really good run in the Open. It already had multiple matches, and I knew I didn't really want to compete because I wasn't feeling well. But I was mad from getting silver the day before, and I was like, "Fuck!" It should have went that way. So I'm like, "What do I have to lose? Let's do it, whatever." So I'm in the third or fourth match, I can't remember, and I'm on this dude's back, and I gotta throw up, and I know if I heave,
You're gonna lose.
get DQ'd. And I have both hooks in. I'm threatening the choke. And I literally, that was the only time I think I've ever thrown up in a match. But I threw up in my mouth, but I was able to hold it in. Mm-hmm. And I remember having chipmunk cheeks. I literally, it was that burny taste. It's kind of like burned, acidic. And
yes.
And
you threw up bile. Yes.
Yes.
I know what you're saying.
And I was still able to. This was the most impressive feat, was that not that I was winning. It was that while I was winning, I was able to re-swallow it and not let it out of my mouth and still finish.
That's mentally tough right there, bro. I like that. Was
not
that against?
Not funny. It was not against
the giant guy.
The giant guy.
Okay,
No, that was the finals. No, there was a couple big guys. This guy was big, but not nicknamed.
They didn't call him Gigantor.
Giganchi.
Giganchi.
Yeah.
I think Gigantor is from Night at the Museum.
That's pretty good too. But no, but yeah, that was gross. I choked back some puke before eventually losing in the finals.
Yeah, that reminds me of the time that I competed against that dude that was 10 feet tall.
Wait. Oh no, I thought you were talking about the one that's not the one where you threw up under the table.
Oh no, that was hilarious. Yeah, that was. I feel like that was
like
a
an
weird.
8-man. That was like an 8-man thing.
And I feel like it was a weird rule set that the match just kept going forever until someone got a point or something. If the score was tied.
Yeah.
And so I think me and a guy had a really, really long match, and then it was when they were raising my hand.
Yeah,
I beat the dude.
There was a plastic. They had a score table, and I was coaching him, and there was a plastic tub or something. And there wasn't a tub that they just had the score table materials in, and he just ran over and dove under the table and threw up.
Yeah, it was
pretty gross.
Yeah, it was a wild one.
Nice.
She did not hold it in.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that one. Yeah. If I really thought hard about kids competitions, those are the best stories, because kids, it's the Wild West. Yeah. Because it doesn't happen anymore where you'll have an adult competitor and they will be doing a jiu-jitsu tournament, and you'll realize in the match, oh, this person and his coaches don't do jiu-jitsu. They do karate. They do kung fu. That will still happen in kids tournaments to this day. And so there were times that you would be going against kids and you would be like, a blue belt, a blue belt that beats adult blue belts. And this kid has never done jiu-jitsu in a day in his life, and you're going to give me a camera and let me do a round with him at a tournament where he's wearing a blue belt? This is insane. And that was really common. One time, this is a great one. I saw a video of this somewhere. We could share it, but it would really be mean to this kid. I would think I was 16 or 17. Osher and I were actually in the same division. It wasn't in we were both teenagers, so it must have 14 years ago. Have a kid, have him in a cross collar choke in my closed guard, and he actually taps to it. And there's a half a second between tapping and letting go. His head even pops up for a second, and then he totally just he just out, and it's just a millisecond. He kind of looked up, and then he was gone.
That was U.S. grappling, I think.
I think it was a Chicago Open.
Was it Chicago?
I think I can look at the video because my mom, this is when she used to come to tournaments, and she recorded for me. And she is sitting next to this kid's mom who now thinks her son just died. Because the guy pulls his lifeless body off of me by grabbing the back of his gi and just pulling him. Like, there was no, he was just like, he's dead. You know, the mom's crying. You can hear it on the video. While it's happening, my mom is using her camera skills and zooming in on old boy. Like, zoom in, zoom out. Like, she's trying to get it right. Like, I gotta make sure to capture this. He eventually wakes up and he was fine.
Yeah.
But the whole moment of like, mom, his mom was next to you. You can hear her like, my son, my baby. And my mom's like, yeah, don't worry, I got it. I'm recording. I'll send you a copy.
Oh my God, they're taking him to the dumpster.
Yeah, that was kids divisions are the best, man.
That's awesome.
What else you got for us, Kyle?
Oh,
I think you have one more question, don't you?
No, I think that was it, man.
That was it?
Yeah, I mean, you put me on the spot, man.
Am I? I thought I was just I've asked you that question like 4 times.
Oh, sorry.
Are you sure? I swear there was one more.
One was a 2-parter.
Oh, maybe that's what confused me.
Did I answer the second part?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that was one we spent an hour on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was asked the most important question is if you knew what dog ear was.
Yeah, that was a good.
I didn't.
That was a good question. All right, actually, just while we're here, you guys have anything to say to finish? Any last thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
I think it is really cool. Like, he mentioned earlier that we had a match a long time ago, and we've had a few matches since then. I just think it's really cool. Like, I'm sure I know this happens in other sports, but I think I was just talking about this with somebody the other day. I think it's awesome how, that's a unique thing that's come full circle, that we used to be competitors and now we're on the same team. But even if that wasn't the case, Mark's a great guy, and I would imagine that even if we weren't on the same team, we would still be training partners. And I think it's really cool that's one of the cool things about the sport. I'm not saying everybody's like buddy, but there's just a lot of people that after you've kind of had that struggle with each other, like you've went up against each other, that it's just like a common bond. And I've got great friends that I've competed against, and we still stay in touch, and I would love to share the mats with them anytime. So I just think that's another just cool aspect, as much as like, I feel like jiu-jitsu, if you're in the right gym, sells itself. I think that's just one more reason that I think it's awesome that you can like try to murder each other and then literally go have unlimited breadsticks together.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to do with anybody I compete against. I totally agree with that. That's such a good thought too, because like I said, I came up competing against Mark's guys, but specifically I think Osher and I have 5 matches against each other, and it's like, and he's got 3 wins on me, if you can do the rest of the math. And it doesn't bother me in any way. But no, we saw each other at the night before your 20-year anniversary, and we went and Bryce will attest to this. We were like, haven't talked to each other in forever. We're like, oh, we're best friends. I forgot. We haven't talked to each other in forever. Wait, why are we best friends again? Oh, because we came up competing against each other. That's funny. That's a weird reason that we have a friendship. And it was also fun. I mean, I know you guys are significantly older than me, but it was also fun.
Old enough to be your dad.
Exactly. Old enough to be my dad's dad. But just getting to have those stories of like, dude, remember when we were 17 competing against each other at this tournament? Remember when we were 18 and we were both at Pans doing this one, and it was just, it's really cool to have that. But it's also funny that your arch nemesis is, can end up being your friends at these things, especially if you treat them well and you don't push them after they beat you and try to fight them, you
don't grab a hold of their junk.
Yeah,
and hang on.
don't. Yeah, I'm sure that guy never followed you on Instagram.
He doesn't follow me on Instagram, but we actually saw each other many, many moons after that. He gave me a hug. He's like, Mark, how's it going, man?
But actually, if you think about it, I don't mean to interrupt you, but depending on the grip, he might be really good friends with him. You know what I'm saying?
He was like, Mark, it's so good to see you, bro.
But I'll be honest with you. I saw him, I think it was 2 World Masters. I saw him in Vegas, and he came up to me. Right, he looks completely different and stuff. just dapped me up and stuff, and I gave him a hug, and we just talked a little bit, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's still living his life, doing his thing and stuff like that, and I'm really, really happy that he was not competing. So there was absolutely zero chance of me just getting murdered out there and stuff.
I get that.
It's good on him and stuff. And but to what you were saying, Kyle, it's I and Josh, this as well too. I liken a lot of the jiu-jitsu culture to football. Or I liken a lot. There's a lot of parallels to draw between jiu-jitsu and football. And for me, it's you always I have the NFL Network, and you always sit there and hear them talk about all the players as like a brotherhood, if you will. And the fact of the matter is that you have over 8 billion people now in the world and stuff, and just a very small percentage of that population does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It has done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for as long as we have. So we are, for all intents and purposes, part of a small brotherhood. A small family of individuals who have kind of gone through all these different things and have seen things come and go, have seen fads come and go. And I do find it really cool that a lot of us have open schools, and a lot of us are trying to help this next generation of us, for lack of better terms, in our younger years, just kind of get to where we're at, or help them accomplish whatever goals they can. So I guess a lasting thing that I could say on this particular pod is, all these new guys coming up, screw Instagram, screw all that crap like that. I get it. You need the clout. That might be the only way you make money, but at the end of the day, you do belong to a part of a brotherhood, and you got to sit there and take care of each other, and you have to take care, because eventually it's going to be on you guys to sit there and take care of the same type of people that you are, like that's in the same situation that you're in right now. You're going to have to do that. It's going to be your turn. So, it is just a really kind of, when like Kyle, like we were implying, when you sit back and look at things as a whole, man, we've done a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
We've messed up a lot too, but we've done a lot. We've done some good here. So, it's really kind of nice to reflect on that.
That's really good. That's really good. And honestly, I really appreciate both of you. You both are mentors to me and have been for a very long time, and have been for a long time and not expected anything in return. And I appreciate you guys. And it being able to get to experience that lets me feel so much better about doing that same thing with the next generation. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.